Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it was for the I decided to start streaming while we were start talking about Prince of Persia. The last release, I don't know what year that was, 2009, 8, 7, I don't know. um, yeah. It was a departure for the series, but I didn't buy it. I think what happened was I got it from my brother-in-law used for Christmas like a month before, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what he likes. I'll get a couple games. I got the orange box and that, and I was like, I'll play them. I bought them way in advance because they're already opened at GameStop, and I played it. That's how I played that and the orange box, and then I wrapped him up, and turns out he didn't like those types of games. So I wish I would have just kept them, but so I only played. I kind of crammed it as fast as I could, and surprisingly, I thought it was beautiful art style too. So yeah, what brought that up? Something I want to clear up because in the past, I always said we don't talk about rumors and speculation on the podcast. Kind of, just kind of ignore a lot of that stuff. But I just wanted to clarify a little bit, like where I feel the line is, and maybe you guys can give me your thoughts on it. But for me, I've always kind of done that because of in the realm of spoiling something for somebody, like a new game announcement. When a rumor is, let's say it was Metroid Prime 4, okay, just for an example, before that game got announced, if a rumor was Metroid Prime 4 gets announced at E3, that, and we talk about it, then that takes away from the big exciting moment for some people at the E3 Direct. When it comes to, like, I guess a surprise game like that, where it was a little bit unsure, but then there's some gray area where it's like we know Capcom's working on another Resident Evil game. Like if Resident Evil 8 got rumored, then I would probably maybe talk about that just because it's like, I don't know, maybe that's kind of stupid, but if to me it feels like there's a little bit of gray area with some of that stuff. I don't know what you guys think. Yeah, that's why I mean you could argue. Yeah, I'm talking about nuance. I know it's tough, and it's because for some people, like if let's say Resident Evil 8, which I don't even know if that's in the works or anything or it's ever been talked about, but just throw that out there. Like to me, that's duh, but I guess for someone that could be. So it's kind of it's a tough line to follow, and I always just try to do like a hard let's not cover rumors and speculation, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Oh shit. You guys can't be heard. Shit. Um why? I did it what I always do. I waited to open OBS until after that didn't happen this time, so it's all right. They don't want to hear you motherfuckers.
Are we back now? Can you hear us,
We
people?
should be in a second.
Not yet.
Yeah, this ring.
I think the only thing they
Yep.
would have missed is Clock
There we
talking
go.
about the
Yeah, we were talking about Prince.
shit in the beginning.
Cocktail was talking about Prince of Persia in the beginning, but
Hey, that was what do you mean? Just only a thing. Clocked it. Like a second-rate citizen or some shit. And the juice is loose, man. I've been here for years now. You're saying grinding away.
years? Has it been years?
We're coming up on 300 of these motherfuckers.
It has been years. I was here for the Switch launch, man. Breath of the Wild.
Obviously,
I thought Retro came in for the Switch launch too.
I think
No, I was here for
3
the
years.
sorry. I was here for the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
There we go.
Anyway,
So it has been years.
sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, yeah, I think that's better.
Like it's a tough line, sometimes because like the thing that prompted this was that article from VentureBeat that said that partners from Nintendo are saying that they've been told to not there's not going to be an E3 Direct, not to plan for anything for June, in place of the E3 Direct, and a couple of people reported on it. It wasn't one of those take with a grain of salt type of reports. It was just, hey, we talked to some partners and this is what they've been told. Somebody could have made up the article, I guess. But for me, like, finding out that there's not going to be an E3 Direct, we already knew there wasn't going to be E3, but I just assumed they'd just do the Direct like normal. Like, to me, that I don't consider that even if it turns out to be true from Nintendo, I don't consider that like taking away anybody's excitement or, like, to me, it's like almost better to hear it first, and then when Nintendo reported it, then you're already kind of, it's not so much of a bummer. But so that was, and I said that, and one of you guys were like, well, we don't talk about rumors. You said so yourself, and I'm like, well, it's a little bit different, I think. A rumor about the E3 Direct not happening versus a rumor about, Super Mario Galaxy 3 or something getting announced. I think's quite a bit different. But so I don't know. What do you guys? Should we just have a hard line, or should we try to take it?
I don't know why we have a line at all. But
I mean, let's not get into the big topic, but it's about the viewers. I don't, just because they're tuning in, I don't want to throw something that would potentially take away some of their excitement about something that might get announced.
Wouldn't it just make more sense to just put out like a poll or something for the viewers to see what they would prefer?
No, because there's not everybody who watches this is gonna take the poll, and somebody could just jump in.
We're gonna be principled. No fake news here. No fake news.
Yeah, and it just felt like it was getting overwhelming too. Back when I kind of said that, it was just like every week it felt like somebody was reporting a rumor or speculation. I don't know if that was before the Switch came out. I think it was. And it was
my god, the NX days.
The NX days.
I just feel like it was too much, and it's just to cover it. I just felt like it was getting redundant and ridiculous. But then I've been thinking about it, like,
will the NX have a Hemi?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. I know, for me, if it's like a hardware, like we talked about the Nintendo Switch Mini and the Pro, like many times, but for me, like a revision to an existing hardware is like, to me, that's like
not a big deal.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if somebody leaked the specs of the PS5 like 6 months ago, and I was just like, who cares, like that.
You complain about that in the comments, we're gonna slap you.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it because I know you guys didn't care, but I don't know. I just thought just kind of bring it up and see what we thought, but I don't know. I know, Terrell, you're definitely on a different viewpoint than I am with stuff like that, but
I'd rather spoilers or rumors.
Either or. If the rumor, it would be a spoiler. I mean, if it's like I said, if it's like canceling E3 Direct or something, like, to me that's not a spoiler. But like somebody leaking the announcement of Metroid Prime 4 before Nintendo announced it, definitely to me negatively affects the audience, especially if they're excited, at E3, because that was a hype moment for even me. Remember, I said "oh shit" about 3 times when it got announced, and if it had been leaked, that would have been one less exciting thing at E3. So that's just kind of where I've always thought about it. So
go on, Tom. I was just going to say, for me, for example, a good example is, let's say, a rumor that a Direct might happen. It's like you said, who fucking cares? Like, that doesn't kill my excitement.
Mm-hmm.
But a rumor list of what is happening in the Direct and what's going to be revealed, that crosses the line for me. I feel there is a line when you get in too many details. For example, rumors of a Smash character is like, whatever, you can talk about that shit. But remember when shit like Bowser Jr. and Duck and Dog leaked? That crosses the line for me. And I feel it's based off like mutual respect shit. You don't talk about spoiling games or whatever, that kind of shit. But it's like you said, like if there's a rumor about, for example, Mario Galaxy 3 coming out, like that I don't care about. It's more, but if you talk about the rumors of the story of Mario Galaxy 3, then again it crosses the line for me. So it's really more about the content.
Yeah, I'm
that one's actually sounded more complicated.
Yeah, because if it's like, let's say somebody's like, oh, Nintendo, like, I guess Link's Awakening kind of got, it wasn't really a rumor. I guess that was more of a leak. So, I mean, leak's kind of different than a rumor or speculation. Like, we could put out a video like we've done of what Smash characters we think are going to happen, but in no way, shape, or form are we like, hey, I got some information. Rayman's going to be the next character after the ARMS character. Like, that's, if somebody actually had that information, then people report on it, and it turns out to be true, then it's like the Ryu situation where that completely killed the excitement for that announcement, which would have been, I think, pretty hype announcement for Smash 4.
I think no matter what, something gonna spoil something for someone.
Yeah, it just depends on the individual.
And it all depends on like the individual, on how much of that they consider to be a spoiler. So, for example, where Retro said, he doesn't care if the direct is leaked in terms of it's saying it's coming on the 9th or whatever, as long as he doesn't have the details. For me, I'd still vastly prefer it to be announced by Nintendo, and especially if it's on that day, just randomly out of the blue, Nintendo just drop a direct. You're like, holy shit, didn't direct an hour. Compared to if you knew about that 2 days, if you knew about that 2 days before because of a leak, it still takes away the fun and excitement of a new direct being shown. So there's always different levels. I mean, there's obviously the clear cut. Whoa, man, that's just too much. That's a clear spoiler. You son of a bitch, I'm gonna kill you. Compared to, man, it's got leaked. Like, I can deal with that type of stuff. Like, so.
Yeah, and I also feel like ports or old games coming to the Switch. I don't know what you guys think. I don't feel like that qualifies at all. Like, yeah,
but that's once again, that's for you, because either we play them or whatever, and we got like millions of Switch people who who will get hyped about whatever coming to the Switch. My God, Burnout on the Switch. I forgot, I need it in my life. I can't believe this. If that was spoiled before, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they wouldn't be. Oh man, I wish EA would have announced that. But still, it's just a different levels, isn't it? On how you.
That's sweet.
I think
burn that on the Switch. If you get upset if somebody knocks that,
that's what I mean. We're like.
I think I'm gonna.
Who gives a crap?
I think I'm gonna make that a rule. I know it's like, it's not like I'm your guys' boss. I mean, you could leave anytime you want and stuff. I enjoy having everybody on here.
Okay.
But I think I'm gonna make that. Old games getting announced for even like PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch, doesn't matter. I don't think that qualifies as
I don't give a shit about that.
Not that those get leaked very often, but like BioShock was leaked like months in advance, and it's like no one seemed to care when it officially got announced.
It's like you said, where
sorry, if I was just going to say, but that's a context of this thing already exists. We know what it is. It's been on other platforms. Just because it's coming to another platform, I'm saying. It's a game that's already in existence. It's something that's already.
Yeah, I think I will always bring. I mean, if somebody's like, "Hey, someone saying Street Fighter 5's coming to the Switch," which has happened. Somebody said that was coming. Like, I don't feel I'm going to talk about it. Like, the game's old. It's been out. The fact that it's coming to a new system makes no difference.
Oh man, unsubbed. You guys, you told me about Wonderful 101 coming. I'm out of here. This shit was a Kickstarter.
But it's not like that's gonna happen. I don't even think it ever happened. Other than I don't even know if we talked about BioShock coming. Maybe we did, but
we talked about it.
We did talk about it.
I thought it was more along the lines of, oh my God, it's more Switch ports things. Like, I thought.
Or 360 ports to the Switch.
Yeah, that was the whole.
I mean, it's not like if PS5 comes out and then they're like, oh, they're porting. Rumor says they're porting. I don't know, Infinite Second Son to PS5. Be a full remake. I'm not gonna be like, oh man, we can't talk about that.
Sure.
So anyway, let's talk about some gaming topics. And
that was gaming topic.
It was.
Yeah, but I was saying, I think we were talking about something different.
where do we start blurring the lines then on remakes and remasters? See, that's like a
I completely don't get that shit.
Yeah, I don't care about remakes and remasters in that vein either.
But then I would have been upset if Link to the Past, if Link's Awakening had leaked before that direct, and that's a remake.
Okay.
That was a nice surprise, but I don't think I would have got upset about it.
I mean, there's lines of upset being like,
Yeah,
oh,
I was
fuck,
happy
man,
that I didn't.
You
hear
just would have
about
been
it.
mildly gutted that it would have been
Yeah.
a great moment to see live and original, instead of being spoiled. Which is why we don't get upset sometimes about when things are leaked about Nintendo Directs and stuff, and they come true. It's just all the context, isn't it? Depending on how big of a megaton.
Yeah, I maybe
is,
just
and-
leave big classics off the list if that's a,
And that reminds, every time you mention Link's Awakening, I got to think of that AGL podcast we did where we were talking about games we were excited to hear more about or see more about, and it was like a top 5 list, and I just kept naming games, and I got to number 2, and both you guys were like, oh, Link's Awakening is gonna be number 1, and I was like, it's not even on my list. Like, why would I be excited to see more of this? I mean, I was happy that they remade it, but I was like, no love. So I mean, for me personally, I probably wouldn't have thought that, but I would say like a full remake, I'd probably err on the side of caution versus like a remaster. But anyway, that's like that stuff don't get leaked that often. But
I think we're all clever enough, at least gaming wise, to know what we would all collectively for a decent size of us consider to be spoilers, for whatever in the context of what it is.
Yeah, basically any new, like brand new game, not previously announced, any new content, like new characters, new DLC, it's like that kind of stuff, I could definitely know people are gonna get excited if it gets announced like in a direct, and knowing about it in advance kind of definitely greatly reduces the impact of a Nintendo
Well, it's like you
Direct.
said about how you don't consider us our boss and shit. Like we can leave in that kind of shit. Whenever you guys in the past talk, for example, about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles X, or I had another one earlier that
And
I
you too
was
now.
still playing. I just mute the mic for a bit, and then after a minute or two, like I zap back in. It's my choice to just skip out if I don't want to hear it and shit. And I feel like the audience, like you said, should have that same option when you talk about spoilers and shit. Like, it's just about having the choice to it. I don't need to listen to it, so I just mute it a bit, whatever and shit.
And you guys know my feelings on old games that people call them spoilers. I've never actually spoiled Xenoblade Chronicles X ending, but I feel like 5 years later.
Yeah, we had like one specific podcast about it, and I remember
Yeah.
That was on Shadow Fox's channel.
Yeah, and we never.
No, we talked about X
I don't
also
feel
once.
I feel like I said, and you guys disagreed with, like, if 4.5 years after the game came out and you haven't beat the game and you had it day one, like, I don't buy your anger towards the spoiler at that point, but I still ain't gonna spoil it. I just feel like it's like you shouldn't.
A year, man.
It's kind of down to that. I said that earlier, didn't I? It's kind of after that time period, it's kind of down to that person, and because you're always going to be running the gauntlet. The longer you leave something, the more you're leaving yourself prone to.
But I know Retro.
spoilers.
I know Retro wouldn't like it, so I wouldn't. I'd never
Yeah,
throw it out.
like
there.
that's what I mean. Like, there's always this like there's this nuance and that kind of shit. To me personally, story stuff, no matter how old, there's no limit to it. I'm still fucking playing Morrowind. The game's goddamn 18 years old now. You better not fucking tell me the ending. I'm still working towards
I'll
it.
tell you the
Like,
ending now.
I just
God
never
damn it.
stop playing.
I'm definitely gonna leak that shit.
So since
Just to
Retro,
be a dick.
I want to give Retro an opportunity because we were talking about Majora's Mask last week, and I never got to hear. I know you really like that game, and I really never got to hear your explanation or defense of why you like that game so much. And I don't remember if you said it is like literally better than Ocarina of Time, or just you like aspects of it more than Ocarina of Time. So I'm gonna give you a few minutes just to to get that off your chest,
And then after that,
and then we can rip your ass.
talk about Mario
Like
Sunshine.
I didn't care that people wanted to like hate it, and you're like, dude, don't talk. We're gonna hate on it. Like, I don't care. I hate on games you guys like all the time. It was more the fact that points of me were being attacked, and I couldn't say anything against it. Like that was kind of like bullshit. Like with Majora's Mask, it's simple. I acknowledge 100% that Ocarina of Time is the better game, but personally, to me, Majora's Mask just is my preference. I like it a lot better for many reasons that go into it. Because, like, it's like you guys said, like, you don't need to talk to me about the dungeons, for example. See, this is what I think is funny, though. Some people were defending, oh, but Ocarina of Time has amazing dungeons. Said, bitch, you didn't want dungeons in Breath of the Wild. You can't praise Ocarina of Time for having dungeons when you didn't
can.
want them and shit. You
Yeah,
know?
you can.
Not
But-
every game needs to have the same
but-
stuff.
I think Ocarina of Time is some of the greatest dungeons ever. It was incredible atmosphere. It was a groundbreaking game. It can never be taken away. The stuff I felt when walking into the Deku Tree and in the Forest Temple, it can never be leveled again because that was part of that era when you switched to 3D and shit. But to me personally, everybody's different. I have different tastes in games. I like, and I'm gonna say it becomes a joke, but I don't care. I hinge my love for games extremely heavy on the atmosphere it carries. Stuff like, let's say something fucking random from top of my head, Meat Boy. And then you compare, for example, like Hollow Knight. Meat Boy has no fucking atmosphere, and Hollow Knight, it grips you. You feel that shit. And I feel Majora's Mask simply has a harsh, really deep atmosphere that I am just drawn to. The sadness behind it, the music, the whole vibe where the whole world is an independent game. It just hits me a lot harder, and that's why I consider it the better game, simply because of that.
I don't think anyone denies that that game has an incredible atmosphere. It's quite funny because when it's like as soon as you start the game, when you're just in a forest on Epona, and you get knocked off, and then you run through, and you fall down into the hole, you turn into the Deku Scrub, which is an incredible fucking scene for the first time, and then you're running down a passageways, all twisting. Finally, you turn over the clock tower, absolutely incredible. And then you're in Clock Town, and then even when you go to the astronomy.
Spoilers alert.
Yeah. Even when you go to the astronomy place, yeah, and just the color wise is absolutely phenomenal. It's Majora's Mask is an incredible game, and I spent a lot of time trying to after that podcast just try and say to people I love Majora's Mask. Don't get me wrong, it was just in a context. It was in the context of comparing it to what Ocarina of Time was. And
I think a great aspect of Majora's Mask, which is a lot of people don't like it, is the fact that I like, we talked, I don't know if we talked about it on or off the podcast, like my favorite superhero is Flash. I like everything that has to do with time loops, time skips, all that shit. Ocarina of Time has a cool time jump, but Majora's Mask has like a 3-day loop system. And there's so many side quests and so many stories, NPCs that intertwine throughout the days, and it is such an intricate system of just lives of people. And I just find it a lot more interesting than just walking from one spot
Anybody
to the other.
watching the stream? Shout out to that fan made opening cinematic. I'm playing it.
That was dope. Yeah,
it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a few.
Even now, look at it.
There's definitely a few moments in Ocarina of Time that they could have made like this, and it would have had similar kind of atmosphere, like when Ganon comes running or coming out on the horse and passes Link. Is this? I forgot. Oh, this is live action backgrounds, right, with some CG.
no, I think this was all CG.
No, this looks all CG to me.
Yeah, I think it's completely CG.
Look how fucking.
It's made by one person, I think, too.
That's ridiculous.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, that's
amazing.
crazy. Holy shit.
It was just I remember when this came out, and it was I think it was at that time where we were all just begging for Nintendo to to go full on into CGI movies and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. This
it's
this is. I think the environments are real. I think I remember them.
I don't know about anyone else. I would vastly prefer a full
I would bet
CGI
money right now that they're not.
CGI animation over a live
Oh
action.
yeah, CGI all the way. I don't want.
Yeah.
Because most live action is going to be so CGI heavy for Zelda, or, most of these franchises. It's like, just make it awesome CGI.
Because you have that running on the background now, my favorite Nintendo character ever, across like 100 fucking years and shit, is the Skull Kid. I like the Skull Kid. I like him as a villain. I think he's a lot more complex. And I like Ganon, like seeing Ganon and Ocarina of Time through the castle and all that shit. Like, he's gonna come for power and stuff. That's pretty cool. But that has just already been done to me a lot of the times. For example, Link to the Past had the exact same story, really, and then he wins, and it's cool. But I've seen that already before. And the Skull Kid, just with Majora's Mask and slowly being taken over, and him just coming for the world while slowly you no longer know if it's him or not and shit. I know, as a boss and shit and character, I just found him a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I told you the story how I got the game, and in that I mentioned when I played it, which was like 2007, I think. And but I took like a few years off and then came back and finished it, so I didn't get to play it like from start to finish. I just remember being frustrated by just like how I didn't like the reset. I just felt like I never fully explored it. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of cool things people did with it, or
it's like that's what I said before about the time system, though, is that it's one of the best game ideas that we've ever had. There's no doubt about it. It's just that unfortunately with Majora's Mask, I felt like the game was just ahead of its time. And when no pun intended, and when you were having to go through the days, you could mess up and you'd have to start it all over again, or speed up time to get to the end of the day and all this stuff. And that type of time system would have been better if it was just more fluid. It wasn't completely broken, but it certainly had its frustrations, and especially with the saving as well, which required the owls and stuff like that.
You mean like being in the middle of a dungeon and then time's running out?
so that's what I mean. I mean, people would argue that you have to plan your day, right? Well, what am I going to do today? I need to first of all set up the dungeon, okay, and then reset time. Now I'm going to spend the 3 days in that dungeon. And some people like that. I didn't mind it, because you get into the flow of it. But I could understand the frustration of that type of thing. It's
And I think most people saw it like that, but that's not how I kind of played the game. For example, I'm in the dungeon, and like you said, oh shit, I don't have time to finish this dungeon, though. It's going down, and then you run away because there was still something you want to do. You step outside of the dungeon, you look up, the moon is fucking almost on your face, and then like the music of the final 5 minutes, whatever it's called, starts, and there's such a heavy, incredible fucking atmosphere in those 5 minutes. You still try to like do what you can before everything dies, and right before it dies, and like a fucking action movie, they always stop the bomb at like 1 fucking second. It's so dumb, but it just works, and it's so intense. And then you refresh it, and you're like, okay, maybe this time I won't fuck up the world, and you do it again. And to me, that just works. But I know I'm the exception with that, because I know almost everybody hates that shit. But to me, that just
we don't hate it.
Like I never had that. The only time that the anxiety happened to me in that game was getting the lover's mask. That was the only time where I was like, oh man,
fuck, man.
It really started messing with me. Because before that, I was just start the damn game, at the beginning of the first day, and I had no anxiety. Every time I went to a dungeon, that's what I did. And so that kind of took something away from it, because I never had that anxiety in a dungeon. And I always finished it within time. So
it was incredible. I mean, we think back to it. It was an absolutely incredible feeling having the moon up there. I remember being scared.
Oh yeah,
it was a freaky looking moon. terrifying as hell. Like, it's an incredible accomplishment, and you have to go back into those times where there's literally there's no other games like this.
And I take my hat off to Aonuma, because Miyamoto was like, you got a year. You got a year to put this game together.
Yeah, make something original, and then you make something like that.
Original, and like he pulled that off. That was amazing.
This is Nintendo, man. This is Nintendo.
And
it had its flaws, but it's because he was under some time constraints.
To transition, I want to transition into a different similar base topic. Do you feel like, and I think you'll know where I'm going, do you feel like because of not just the rush of time that they had to get the game out, but do you feel like it would have been better suited as a GameCube game? Maybe they could have took it further, and it was maybe held back what they wanted to do by the limitations of the hardware at the time?
No,
I don't think so. I think they achieved a somewhat perfect second Zelda. I mean, it was in the position where you had to essentially be better than perfection, because that's what was Ocarina at the time. At that time, Ocarina at the time was just perfection. I suppose Mario Sunshine falls in the same boots as Mario 64. When you come in after something like that, in some respects, you haven't got a chance in fucking hell of. It's like Metroid Prime 2. After Prime 1, what the fuck can you do? You can try to do more of the same, but goddamn, to try and beat that, you ain't got a chance in hell. So what they do, they still create a phenomenal title. Majora's Mask is a phenomenal title. Sunshine is a phenomenal title. Prime 2 is a phenomenal title. But you're standing, at the feet of gods, essentially. And even to this day, especially when games like that to this day are still the templates for game designers. We're talking 20 fucking years ago. 20 more. When these games are still, when some developers still haven't beaten them and are still learning from them.
And by the way, 20 years later, they're still calling it the greatest game of all time.
Yeah, what can you do about that? You can't do anything. You could just be unique and by yourself still be great. But shit, especially in the same generation, in some respects, that's a hard thing to do, man. And for Retro, if Majora's Mask achieved being better game, a more enjoyable game for him than Ocarina of Time, then fuck me. Once again, congratulations to Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm not going to I would. That's his opinion. I'm not going to mess with that. My thing is the narrative of that's what was annoying me, because over the years, more and more people come out the woodworks. Oh yeah, the Majora's Mask destroys Ocarina. I'm like, all right, calm down, hipster.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's why I went into my rant. Where I was just like,
it was more about that for me.
It was more about those two games, and I can't remember the question now, but it was just like, no, because you got this game here, and it's just.
Well, three reasons I brought it. One was the dumb comment by Adam Sessler about Mario 64, I think it was. But the other part of this was it came out in 2000?
Mm-hmm.
Majora's Mask?
October 2000.
So it came out at the end of the life. It required the RAM expansion, if I remember correctly.
Did it require it?
For the N64, I believe it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So it was super expensive. I bought the RAM expansion for Perfect Dark, which I don't remember which game came out first. But still,
Donkey Kong.
I want to say the RAM expansion was $30 or $40, and games were $60.
No, it was $30.
Yeah, and games were $60 or $70, depending on types of size cart stuff. And I feel like from that standpoint, which Nintendo didn't learn, they tried releasing a late Zelda game on the Wii with Skyward Sword, and I kind of thought Majora's Mask probably would have been better off held for the GameCube. Maybe it would have made it at launch, maybe not. But also I feel like just the whole time mechanic with the like Retro said, the following people's lives and stuff. I feel like that could have been expanded upon and maybe some of the elements improved upon, not just because of the GameCube, architect or the power, but also just having some more time maybe to have worked on it. But
because we've seen having a Zelda game at launch does help you out a little bit.
Yeah. worked with the Wii and the Switch now, so I think they're going to do that again.
Yeah.
It's like I said in the end, I know and I definitely acknowledge that overall Ocarina of Time is the better game. It has a massive impact. And it is just very personal to me why I like it. But I mean, I'm a fucking fanboy. I have like a framed fucking Majora's Mask poster. I bought the first 4 figure of the Skull Cat and shit. I know I'm a fucking Majora's Mask fanboy. And that doesn't, it's like, I think he said it last week. I don't know how it's said, I mean, you're basically choosing between 2 masterpieces, It's like, do you want $1 million or do you want like $1,001? That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, I don't see it like that, but I get that you do.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I get what you're saying.
I get it's like getting $1 million or you can get a $200K.
Right now. You can get $1 million in over the next 20, 30 years, or you can get 200K right now.
I just mean, like, there's no real bad games when it comes to a lot of shit, between this and that, even
It's
it's
my least favorite 3D Zelda game though. I'm gonna throw that out.
I can't hate
Really?
I can't hate on Majora's Mask as itself. I just like if we done that comparison, then I would have more things to pick apart.
I like it better than
I would have more things to pick apart in Majora's Mask than I would in Ocarina of Time. That was just my argument.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this because I love to rant about Adam Sessler, and it's been a while. Let me find this tweet.
It's been a while for me too.
And I'm glad it happened because I got to
see me doing a video on this.
Thinking about a video I did some years ago.
I brought up something that somebody who was a fan of Adam Sessler didn't realize. So Robert Rule 2, I don't know if did he retweet? So
yeah, he what do you call it when you like take
quoted?
your
Quoted.
Yeah, like
Quoted.
So Adam said he thought Mario 64 is overrated. It was a milestone in tech, but it's hampered by the limitation of both the tech and the creativity that engineered. Is that what he tried to say? I don't know. Engendered.
Ingenuity.
It's a fucking idiot.
Galaxy shows profound confidence in design with the 3D environment, both thematically and structurally.
And then he jumps 2 generations afterwards.
But here's the funny thing: out of the 2 games, Galaxy was the one limited by the hardware because at the time you had the 360 and the PS3 out, and the N64 was easily the most powerful system out. So it's like
88 megabytes of RAM. Come on,
it doesn't make much sense. But anyway, Robert Rule 2 said that he found the argument to be preposterous, and not that one finds Mario 64 to be overrated, but to say it's hampered by limitations in tech. That's only true when looking backwards. In 1996 tech, it wasn't limited. It blew the doors open, and I mean, there's no arguing that. I don't know. So let me tell my Adam Sessler hate story one more time. I was a fan of Rev 3 games back in 2011, 10, whenever I was watching them. I think it was more like 11. And then Adam Sessler came on board because they were trying to save whoever was invested in that channel. Brought him in, paid him probably big bucks. They partnered with this other YouTube affiliate, what do you call it? Like a company that like not a sponsor, but you know what? When people said they get sponsored, these bigger companies who would pay people to make YouTube content, and I cannot remember the other channel.
Like an MCM? Like an MCM, I think it's called.
Yeah, Managed Channel Network.
Yeah, and they had this channel with and it was a nerd in the title, and it had
Nerdist?
No, it had Meg Turney and
I think that's Nerdist.
No, it wasn't Nerdist.
Nerdbox.
It was a channel that had the base one, and then it had the nerd version, and it had good looking women, and they were all gamers, quote unquote gamers. Some I over the years I've learned really aren't that into gaming now, but and they had this, and they partnered up, and they had all this collaboration, whatever, and so Rev 3 started changing. That's the reason I even knew who Adam Sessler was. I didn't know who he was before he came on there. I know that's probably crazy for people to believe, but
no, I didn't know that either.
He was I guess he was part of the hell was that old gaming TV?
G4?
G4, yeah. But anyway, So he comes in and he's this big name guy, and he starts making changes, and the channel starts kind of going down a little bit. They changed the review system. No more numbers now. Or no more point system. You had to just, it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 stars or whatever. Like there was no, so either a game was a 4 or it was a 3 out of 4, which is, you know, in most people's minds 75%. You know, and then if it wasn't quite a 3, then it was a 2, which looks really bad. But either way, the new systems were coming out, and I figured out later on that the channel was suffering for views. So he basically switched to we're going to be a next gen. We're going to cover all the next gen Xbox and PlayStation. That's all we're going to cover. They stopped doing game reviews for Wii U. And when they announced that they weren't going to E3 with a press conference, he called for Iwata's job and made this whole video about how terrible a decision it was. And then end of the year, you know, 3D World came out. No review. They reviewed fucking all the shitty launch titles from what was it? Rain or what was that game called? Rise to fucking Knack. Made sure they got all those out. No 3D World review. So at the end of the year, there's this guy Nick and I think Trish or something was the girl's name. I forget her name. And they did their game of the years, and Nick's was Super Mario 3D World. And then he got asked in early next year. He used to do like podcasts where he had guests come on like on Hangouts, and I actually got on one and asked him a question once. And someone asked him about 3D World, and he goes, "Oh, that I just couldn't play that game." He's like, "It's just too complicated with the buttons. My hands couldn't do what I wanted them to do. I couldn't play the game." And then I fucking unsubscribed that moment, and I called him out in the comments. I can't find the video exactly where he said that, but I called him out.
Don't you use like 2 buttons in 3D World?
There's 3 buttons. There's the run, the jump, and then the bumper or trigger that lets you do the long jump and the ground pound.
Oh yeah,
3 buttons. So the guy just, for whatever reason, had it out. He turned on Nintendo. It all started with the E3 announcement. Everything after that was all downhill. The Wii U was failing.
That didn't age well, did it?
No. And the Wii U was failing, so I'm guessing he felt like it wasn't getting the viewership they needed to try to keep this channel afloat. Turns out a year after that they had to shut it down, but you know, so I got it. He was trying to do what was popular and get the most votes, but once he said that, I unsubscribed, and I was just like, I checked in every once in a while to see what ridiculous things were being said, and that channel just completely ruined, and it went under. So I had to bring that up. I said, we're talking about a guy who didn't enjoy 3D World because there were too many buttons to press to pull off the long jump and ground pound moves, LOL. Because I don't remember the exact words, but it was basically his hands wouldn't do what he wanted to do because of the buttons. I don't know if it was too many buttons or the layout of the buttons, whatever it was. He couldn't effectively play the game.
He's having a grandpa moment.
And I'm just like, you fucking trash motherfucker. But
the only problem I have with that is that the long jump, you never really have to you don't have to do the long jump for the majority of that game. And that, to me, arguably, that's the most complicated thing. Granted, none of it's complicated. But I'm saying if you're making a comparison, that's like the most complicated thing you have to do. And you don't even have to do it for the majority of the game. I didn't do it for almost the whole game.
That was right. And
he's a pioneer, though. He brought in.
Well, that's the irony.
He's Adam Sessler's a pioneer. He was the one that brought in basically we will continue this review once the online portion is released.
Oh yeah,
a la GTA 5.
He fucking sucked Rockstar's cock for that review.
Exactly.
I've never heard such a ridiculous just love letter to a developer in a review from a so-called professional than that Grand Theft Auto 5. He played it, he said, like in 2 days he played the entire single player experience, like 40-50 hours, and just said everything about it was just absolute perfection. So but anyway, so I just thought that was funny, and good on Rob for calling him out with that ridiculous statement. It's just I don't know if it's just
it's a growing. I mean, like I was. Yeah, I saw the tweet. I thought I can't chime in on this because you'll be there all day just chewing people out. But like I said, this is a growing theme now where I mean, we always have debates and arguments on especially with all the 3D games and stuff. But just the assault on that generation of gaming now, just from everyone, it's going beyond.
It's unplayable.
Yeah, it's going beyond the point of just ridiculous now, where I just
You know, I'm gonna read this comment. It goes right around with what you're saying. Never played Galaxy, but 64 had terrible play control. What is that? Is this person even a gamer? What the fuck? Who calls it play control? It's called gameplay, you idiot. I don't know how I'd feel about it now, but at the time it felt like a constant losing battle against a janky camera and jankier controls. Terrible features for a platformer. Terrible controls? Did you
clearly didn't play the game? He just
they weren't there. They weren't there playing that game.
Yeah, the camera wasn't ideal in certain situations, but
do you know, and I hear that about Mario 64 all the time, as if the camera was just so in your face all the time. It's impossible.
No, there was I think about, I'd say, a half dozen areas in particular.
Yeah, there's times where it does. You couldn't find a better 3D game that had a better camera in it at that time. So step off.
Don't even.
Not even close to that good.
I mean, it's still completely play. I mean, Robert, didn't you play it recently? What's your take?
Well, 64? Yeah, I played that, and then that's when I was getting to Sunshine, and I was like, "Oof, I like these 64s."
Oh, let's not get into that.
How old are you, Robert?
21.
You're 21 years old, so you can take his word for it better than mine, because you can say nostalgia, blah blah blah. But this is a guy who just played it, right?
I played it on the classic controller, not even the classic controller Pro. Yeah, I played it on the classic controller, and it was fine. And to be fair, I played it also when I was, 16? I think I was 16 or 17 when I played it. And I 100%ed that game. I thought it was perfect. I never really had a problem with the controls of that.
I mean, and you guys know me. I'm the first one to say something hasn't aged the best. And Mario 64 still plays like the actual, what do you call them? Play control? Play control is still fucking amazing. But even back, like, I'm not going to deny that there's not a couple areas, even when I was playing it, my first playthrough, where you just couldn't get the camera in where you needed it to see where you had to go. It was just, obviously it was the early days of 3D. There's no way they were going to get it perfect. And there's just a couple trouble areas that might cause you to fall, and you had to start over going for like a more difficult shrine. I want to say it was the desert pyramid level. There was definitely a spot where you had to like creep, I want to say, inch your way around, and I just couldn't get the camera just literally wouldn't go where I wanted it to go. But that was only a few areas, you know.
I've heard that argument a lot, and I never thought of that. You know, like it never bothered me because it was like basically like I said, Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 did like blew the doors open, like he said it. You know, like that like changed the fucking gaming industry. So when you played it when it came out, to me the camera, it was just normal. It never bothered me or hindered me or anything like that. It was there. What blew my mind, what I thought was funny, is when you're in a level with the mirror and you saw the camera, you know, you try to move it around and shit. Like, but when it comes to the platforming itself, I don't think I ever really had a problem with it. The only times I had a problem with it is when you were on fire and you started running, it felt like you couldn't keep up a little bit, like, and then you tried to run and it kind of. That's the only time where maybe I can think of. But overall, I never really had a problem with the camera.
He's still, I mean,
64 gave you. I mean, it gave you, camera options that you never had before. I mean, to come out of the gate. I mean, yeah, you had the C buttons and stuff, and you could press up and down or whatever. But if you press the right, the R button as well, the camera would lock behind Mario.
Yeah.
But when you were running, it would stay. You were close.
Like
to
almost
Mario,
the first. It was like a really close.
Stay right. Yeah, really close, right behind you. And I used to use that loads of times as well. I just, I don't remember having as many problems as people make out today. I kind of like retro.
I guarantee
exactly
you
what
half
I
these
had
people.
too, the locking.
I guarantee you half these people haven't played the game or played it a little bit, and they're going by what they heard, the popular funny video or whatever on YouTube.
Yeah. There's one guy. Sorry, Juice. There was one guy. I remember watching the video. It was a really popular Mario 64 video, and he was trying to get some red coins and stuff. And there's one red coin on the desert level, and it's right at the pointy end of a level. You'd either fall off the edge, or if you went to the right, you'd slide down. Yeah, and in that, I was just like, I goes, this proves right that people have forgotten how to use analog sticks, right? Because in that Mario 64 was all about the analog stick.
Maybe he's playing with a D-pad.
It has more analog control than I tell you, it has more analog control than any other 3D Mario game you have ever played. You subtly push that N64 analog stick, and Mario creeps slower than he's ever done in any other Mario game. And that was the whole point of 64. It wasn't always about just running and sprinting everywhere. It was about using that analog stick.
Well, in the long jump, all the moves that didn't exist before this game. I mean, just watching him do the side flip, like watching Mario's animations and how fucking, like, I want to say
damn near perfect.
Yeah, still, and it's just, I could have kept reading some of the comments because I felt like I was reading. I didn't accidentally, but I clicked on a Fox News report quotes. About the whole coronavirus thing, and I was expecting to see all the people calling out this dumb, I won't call her a reporter, this dumb person, all the incorrect things that she was saying, and all I found was everybody agreeing with her, and I was like dumbfounded. And that's the same thing. I was just reading. I clicked on Adam Sessler's tweet and reading all the people who were applauding what he just said, and it's like, okay, I mean, some people, if they feel that way, they feel that way. But at the same time, I was kind of shocked to see.
But people like him also have rabid fanboys who follow him too.
Yeah.
So they're gonna just like,
because I mean,
down to the master. Oh, I love everything you say.
And there's definitely people like that. So I'm just curious where the game. I know I've seen like a top 100 games of all time, and it's usually at the very least in the top 5, almost everybody's list, and it's like. To some people now maybe it feels a little janky, but I think it still plays. I think that and Waver 64 still play like as good as the day those games came out, so.
Yeah. And it's a little rudimentary. I mean, Nintendo was still learning the hardware at the time.
Yeah, there's definitely some issues.
If you go back to where if you look at like the beta stuff and then look at what they thought they could do and then finally see what they could do when they started to figure the hardware out a little better. You're like, wow, they came a long way, even just in that probably year and a half time.
Just imagine Mario 64 2 on the N64. If they'd done that towards the end of its life.
They were talking about it. I wanted it, but it never happened.
What about the DS version? How did that play? Because I never that had the D-pad, right?
No, yeah. That's
so I wonder if some of these people are making their comments played the DS version, not even played on the N64.
I can understand the DS version because
I mean, I completed the DS version and I played it fucking loads. I played all the multiplayer, all the mini games and stuff. And I mean, the controls. That was the biggest thing about the DS version. It was just, it was a much harder game to play because you could use a D-pad or you could try. I actually used the thumbs thing quite a bit, but it's night to fucking day compared to the.
How many? I'll pause this until you guys see. This gated area, how many of you tried to do side flips to wall jumps to get up? I think you could.
To get through it.
Yeah.
I remember throwing the bombs at it.
I think you could flip. I think you could flip and do a wall jump and get up there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I wasn't skilled enough when I tried that.
Yeah, I didn't try that.
But I mean, it's just crazy, and it's the only game where Mario punches. Which they abandoned.
And that's another thing. When this game first came out, when I first saw this, this is something I haven't actually said. I don't think I fucking hated the fact that Mario punched as you'd attack. I remember standing in the game shop watching a demo. I goes, what do you make a punch for? That's stupid. Mario doesn't punch. I remember standing there just saying that. I goes, this makes no sense. He jumps on people. What's he punching them for? Kicking them. And then went back and I played it and I went, holy fucking shit.
Yeah. You realize that was something born out of them, testing the game, and like he needs to punch, like that has to be an attack for this game.
I mean, Super Mario 64 was like Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild. Was that? I mean, how often?
Well, look at
any
Sorry,
of us,
I gotta cut you off.
Like,
I just gotta. You could skate around on a shell. You could dive and grab enemies. You could slide on your belly. Like all these
people
moves.
don't know about this. Yeah.
People don't know.
I was just gonna say to that. Like that's literally what I was gonna say. How many of us took the shell to just skate around or
just for fun.
take the cap and just fly around and shit. You know, just waste your time flying and this because it's not just the walking and the gameplay itself. Like all the mechanics, like the shell and the flying, it just all worked so well in 3D.
Yeah, it was
And
crazy.
it didn't have the texture warping garbage that you saw in PS1.
No.
Like you can go high, and nothing would be janky, shaking in the distance or any of that stuff. Sure, there was probably some more fog in this game, but I hardly remember it until I see.
And it's like this is when I talk about open world games. You know, people love to bring up I mean, Mario 64 for me is as open world as it becomes because everything you interact with, it's like even if you go around flowers, oh, there we go, we done it. Even if you go around flowers, something will come out of it. You know, you climb up trees, there might be something coming out of the tree. You can bump
You
into
could
the
either
tree.
get up this hill too, or you could get to the red coin without sliding
It's
down.
just, I mean, but this is in 1996, the essentially the first proper 3D game you ever played, and you can do all this. It's just to when people chew this game out, I go on time for them. Yeah, I just, you know, if I can understand, okay, it looks a little dated now, whatever, blah blah blah. You know, yeah, the controls aren't as good.
Look at
as
those
other
2D
3D
marbles.
games, blah blah blah. Yeah, you know, I
Reminds me
can
of,
understand all that stuff.
Mario
but I
Kart
just,
64.
Yeah.
As a kid, I thought that shit was insane. I couldn't understand how it worked. Like you said, the marbles, the trees, some of the fire. I'm like, my
Power-ups.
mind knows it's 2D, but why does it look 3D? Like I walk around and it just follows me. Like it's so weird.
Oh, I saw the tweet as well. I think it might have been Andre Segers from Game Explain, and you know, I don't know how you guys might feel about this, but he said Mario Kart 64 is utterly unplayable. Now,
I kind
listen.
of agree with that.
I don't, but
listen,
that's
listen,
fine.
Well,
it's not,
yeah, go
it's
ahead.
not unplayable. It's still a really good, fast racing game.
It's just hard.
It's just being surpassed. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's
Well,
it.
I think what it
It's not
is,
shit. It's just been surpassed.
the timing of
It got surpassed on 64 with Diddy Kong Racing, so that's
What
fine.
I didn't play when I played it. The most recent was when I got the Wii U, and my virtual console games didn't work, so they gave me all my points back and told me to re-download them. So I re-downloaded games I didn't buy because I never downloaded Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64. And I will say, like, I'm sure I could get used to it, but the timing of the turning and the way because it's the 2D sprite kind of moved on the screen, it really
Right.
threw me off. I would have had to dedicate a good amount of time before I could have been.
Yeah,
I couldn't even do
actually
50cc.
I would still say to this
What?
day that
I mean, I couldn't get first.
I would still say to this day that the power sliding in Mario 64, the actual skill required
That took some skill.
to get the Zeds,
Yeah.
the different colored Zeds and stuff, I still say that's the best in Mario Kart.
But I need to point out, I never owned
Mario Karts.
Mario Kart 64, so I didn't even have the muscle
didn't
memory
you?
for that game.
Yeah,
I only
and-
played it
but
once.
it's,
Anything
like,
like,
it's still got the most narrow tracks of a 3D Mario race kart game, which I prefer. I prefer my more narrow tracks. They require more skill to go around those corners. And I think the only detriment to Mario Kart 64 is that the tracks are a bit too long in their
There's
straights.
some long treks.
Yeah, in their straights and
What
stuff.
is this
So
guy doing?
Yeah. He's
I
trying to
wasn't
get
even watching.
he's trying to get through the
Oh,
to get the star.
without the hat, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a few tries to do that.
So anyway,
Like the main thing I didn't like, I just wanted to say that still because we were talking about the tweet. Because every time you guys mention these guys from, like, in quotation, the industry and shit, like now Adam Sessler, you guys said it. I'm like, who the fuck is Adam Sessler? I don't know all these names. I don't know all these people. Like, I don't really care. But what I hated is that I do know Rob, and he's extremely, like, nice and quiet and shit. And I mean, I always say he's like fucking Switzerland. He's like fucking
neutral, yeah.
as still as you can be when it comes to his opinions. So when the Sessler guy, he just replied to him like, I acknowledge that. Calm down, Book. I was like, damn, what's this stupid, like, passive aggressiveness
Yeah,
bullshit?
like,
You
Calm down.
can see who's got the malfunction straight away.
Because what Rob
Exactly.
said just was the truth. Like Mario 64, it just blew the industry fucking open, and everybody afterwards was, it became like the focus point, the starting point of absolutely everything else.
Like, and that's what I said. Like, I wasn't a little kid. I was a senior in high school. Like, I remember that because I was following it like crazy. I had a friend, my friend Carl, who was a huge Ultra 64 fan. He's the one, because I wasn't really paying attention until him. He was like, "Oh, Ultra 64 all day, every day," and then everybody around, in school even was like, this is crazy. Like, this is amazing. Because we were, I had a class where, electronic class. So I had 3 periods of electronics. And what we mostly did, we did 1 period of work and then like 2 periods of just like playing computer games. And I remember playing computer games that were 3D apparently. And they didn't touch Mario 64. They couldn't come close. There was rudimentary character design, rudimentary looking worlds. And, this is PC at the time. And we had, pretty decent PCs at school in those days. And Mario 64 blew that junk out of the water. So it was just anything against that is just bogus. It's bunk. It's just sour grapes. I don't know what happened to this dude. Like, because that was my tweet, was like, when your heroes become the villain. Because it's just like, what happened to you, man? Like, you used to be the crazy, quirky, cool dude, and
now he's the grandpa.
Yeah, now he's just like a curmudgeon.
It's just illogical. It's just no foundation to it whatsoever.
I'm curious if Terrell's actually played Mario 64.
I've only played like a little bit of it. That's the main reason why I was quiet. I haven't.
Would you play it on like the virtual console or?
No, I played it on the original 64. Like I played it when it came out. I didn't get far enough into it.
Well,
But
I know a lot of the maybe older gamers maybe had kind of moved on, tried to play it. They could not grasp like moving in a 3D environment. I remember that turned off some people that were already on the fence of game. They're already kind of getting out of gaming. I know.
That's why Mario has Mario still has like somewhat of a divided community where people purely prefer playing the 2D games over the 3D games.
But
and Mario 3D games are like masterclass. That's why it's kind of crazy.
Well, those are all those people who, sometimes you hear when they say, "Oh yeah, I'm playing Nintendo since the SNES," because they dropped off at that point, and you hear people coming back now just saying, "Yeah, I just got myself a Nintendo Switch. It's my first Nintendo console. Since the SNES and stuff. Because I dropped off when they were doing too much crazy stuff. You just.
How could you go? How could you not go from the Super NES to be excited for the fucking N64?
I don't know.
I don't understand it, because, like I said,
my mom was like confused, but she's my mom.
We were getting excited about fucking Star Fox and other early 3D games and stuff, like the early Star Wars games and everything. It was just
Shadows of the Empire.
3D was everything. That's when you had Tron, you had all this stuff. Just 3D was the future. We all knew it. And like every time we saw something new, we were like, "Fuck! Oh my god!"
You know what's crazy to think about though? Because I was telling you guys that I watched The Fifth Element the other day, Saturday, and because I bought the 4K Blu-ray to see what all the hype was. Because I'm hearing about all these old movies shot on film that look amazing that are remastered in 4K, and it looks really good. But that movie came out in '97. Same year the N64 came out, and one of the things I noticed was the visual effects. There's a couple visual effects in Fifth Element that still hold up pretty damn well. Like when the reconstruction at the lab, what are they called? Whatever reassembles her from the bones. Like, there's some lower I guess you can't fix already rendered special effects and make them higher res, but I'm just like, holy shit, that looks really good. Like that was '97, and this is where this was the pinnacle of graphics in video games, and at the same time frame. And it does seem there's quite a bit of a gap between what we were seeing in like movies and stuff, and what games were capable of doing, and now it's a lot closer.
I just want to correct Clocked It really quick, because he said everybody knew that 3D was the future. Sega didn't know that shit. Even though they had 3D games, it was like,
they had to add a chip at the last second to the Saturn.
And it's funny because Sony decided to go 3D because of Sega, because of Virtua Fighter. And even Sega didn't see their own tea leaves. What the hell?
So somebody said something in the chat I wanted to. Let's see here.
So Terrell, what is would you? It's like if you went back to Mario 64 now, would you struggle because you would find it too basic, or
I don't think it's too basic. If anything, my thought then and even up until I got older, is that Mario 64 was intimidating as fuck. I remember how did I don't even know how I ended up getting it. I think my mom was just buying games for me because she realized I like video games, and she was like, all right, here you go. But I always thought 64 was just an intimidating game to play. Like I wasn't used to the whole idea of having these tiny little platforms that you had to stand on, and then like the section that was just playing where the shit's rotating around. That shit used to scare the crap out of me. Like high ledges on thin platforms. Just get me the fuck out.
Oh, I used to lose my stomach all the time when I'd fall or.
Here you go. This owl shit.
I wouldn't say.
That was probably one of the weaker aspects of when it comes
trying
to
use the camera to. Yeah, good luck with that.
And the controls were it didn't control like I liked. But
yeah, I was the opposite. My issue never was the game looks too easy or too basic. My issue was shit. This thing looks intimidating as hell.
Yeah, a lot of people forget how much.
Fuck up.
Well, a lot of people forget how much time you spent just out in the garden. I mean, I never went inside the castle for ages. I was just out in the moat. I remember finding swimming really hard. I was like, I don't understand how to swim. I don't understand how to swim.
Well, we had to get used to turning a camera, so because it was easier to press up to run straight than to press on an angle to have Mario run in a straight line. So you had to sometimes you had to slow down or stop and try to get the camera so you could move straight. Other times the camera wouldn't go so you could move straight. So you had to learn to move in a diagonal. But the thing I wanted to point out that somebody said in the chat, where there's still games today that are doing things that Mario 64 started. Like,
yeah, of course.
I mean, there's.
I mean, that's what it means to be a pioneer.
Yeah, it's like, so to say it was somehow held back or hindered by the technology, it's like I
don't understand that at all. Like, I don't understand why you would even come.
This guy sucks with the owl, that's for sure. But
most people suck with that owl. Come on, let's be.
That's like saying that like Star Wars was hindered by the special effects in Star Wars were hindered by the technology of the day. You know,
right?
Like,
yeah,
no,
it's true, but
so it's overrated.
They were by today's standards, but when it came out, it pushed everything.
It blew people away.
It pushed all the special effects got pushed forward, and everybody wanted to try to emulate what Star Wars did.
Star Wars
that's a 2D tree, but he treats it like a 3D one. That's so strange that it's a 2D sprite tree, but yet he climbs it and moves around it like it's 3D. Like, that's insane to me.
Let's see if he gets it this time. Yep. Nope. It looked like he had it, but
you got to watch that shadow, man, and you got to do it.
I'm slightly behind, and I never bought it. I platformed up there for that shit, man. or use the cannon.
Yeah, and then when it drops you, like the camera completely changes. So the minute you let go of the owl, your camera goes.
I'm sure if they had a change, that would be something they would change.
Like, because I had the 64 and everything, but like, I mean, I had the Super Nintendo before, but like, I was just then getting into gaming. Like, I think the only games I had really been playing like that was like the Sonic games, and then like the early Super Mario games. So going from that to like fucking Ocarina of Time and 64, I was like, holy shit.
Look how Mario hangs. He has a completely unique animation for hanging from the owl than from any other thing. Let go.
Bubsy couldn't do that in Bubsy 3D.
Bubsy can do a lot of things. We don't even talk about bring this shit up in the same.
I did do a poll.
I played that fucking game. I saw enough. I was like, hell. Then.
I did a poll like 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was after last week's podcast. I know to the chagrin of you guys, probably I'm going to bring this up, but I only to point out that the games I selected, it was which games would I like to see, like the ray tracing, like what they did to Minecraft, where you don't change anything about the core game.
Yeah, I remember this.
You just add the lighting, which you have, and then you have to add reflective textures to get the full effect. But I had Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Wave Race 64, or Banjo-Kazooie. And my thought process, and it was Ocarina of Time by quite a big margin, was because all they're doing is making, lighting and reflective textures. I think Mario 64 you could just do that and play the game, and you're not gonna be like, oh my god, this feels so. They should have fixed this or fixed that. Yeah, there's some couple spots with the camera, I'd say that, but I think this and Wave Race 64 are just purely from a gameplay standpoint are still 100% haven't lost a step in as far as like the playability.
Yeah.
And
Banjo.
The
And
physics, the
F-Zero.
controls,
Yeah,
and wave race, you could still go back and.
I haven't
Have fun
played
with that.
Banjo since I rented it when it came out, so I don't know. I'm guessing that would be the same. I think Ocarina of Time maybe. What I could
Telling you
see
it is.
some
And
tweaks,
Ocarina.
but
Well, the fact that you can't jump, people probably will. But it's like if you play the game, you don't really need
No.
to. Like,
I was thinking more
you,
like
you do kind of jump in Ocarina, kind of.
yeah.
it's
I mean,
yeah.
you could.
you
It's
could
still
with the,
programmed in the game. They took it out.
If you
'cause
did
they
the
needed-
Z target, I think you could jump forward. But I can't
No,
remember.
no,
if you
no. You could do backward.
You could do
somersaults,
backward flips
or
and
you
side
would
jumps.
leap off ledges.
Yeah.
You do slide jumps stuff. Yeah.
forward
So,
slash.
I think like honestly, you just not like it's easy, and not like Nintendo would ever release it because they don't have a hardware that could. But just watching this footage, I'm like, man, with just that, like, just the lighting. I mean, you don't really need anything else. Lighting and just make the like add some.
And Ocarina of Time started off with this engine. That's how far Nintendo got. By the time they ended Ocarina of Time, it was such a modified version. It was just almost a completely different engine, even though it was
Yeah,
the
let me
basis was
let
Mario
me
64.
click on. Let me bring up a later N64 game just to see how far the textures came. What do you think? Was one of the like Banjo Tooie look probably?
Well, Banjo Tooie was
And your two
texture
is,
wise.
It's just how far
Donkey
that
Kong
came
64.
from.
You want to, if you want to pick a similar game,
Why did
that's-
it brought up like a fucking YouTube or eBay like page on YouTube?
buy Banjo Tooie for $65? I don't think it's that much. Well, I don't understand why
I
some of
think
these
it's a bit
popular
more.
games are expensive. It might be. I don't understand why these popular games are expensive because there's plenty of copies out there.
What's
So
this?
it
We'll
shouldn't be
see
that
if
expensive.
it depends on the person's capture capture card settings. This looks pretty low quality compared to the Mario 64 capture. Yeah, it's really low quality capture. It doesn't make the game look any better than Mario 64. So no, that's not right.
What I'm looking at is Banjo Kazooie, isn't it?
There,
Oh,
this has to
Banjo-
be.
Banjo Tooie.
That's Tooie. Yeah.
This has to be the Xbox arcade version here.
Yeah, that's not fair.
I'm trying to find like the N64. Either way,
Oh, that's an up-res one.
yeah.
I have it. Oh, maybe it's not.
And I downloaded it on Game Pass, and
I
I
think I
never
have Kazooie, not
I never
Tooie.
booted it up. My Game Pass ran out, so that's I fully intended to try Banjo Kazooie again, but
Side
how
by
that game-
side comparison.
that's how that Game Pass works for me. It's like a bunch of like, yeah, I might want to try that, and then nah, I never get to them because I feel it's kind of maybe we could take this into a topic. I feel like if I don't buy something, I feel I'm less inclined to play it or finish it.
Oh,
whether,
Conquer. That's a good one. yeah.
Definitely.
whether it's a game, whether
Well,
it's
we-
a book or a TV. Somebody gave me like a burned copies of like Stargate SG-1 and season 1, and I never watched it until one day I saw it on TV, and then I ended up my buddy bought like he did the same thing. He put it off for a long time, then he ended up buying like the entire series and stuff. And then like when somebody gave me the code for like Metal Gear Solid 5 or got some game for Christmas I didn't ask for, I just never really felt compelled to play or finish games when I don't buy them. And I feel like I'm probably unique in that regard. Some people might.
No, you're not.
No, I
you're not.
agree, dude.
This is something you need to be really careful about with the industry as a whole. I feel. I mean, we can all champion Game Pass as great service, and what you get for the price. It is phenomenal. But we're borderline on turning it into the mobile phone market where games lose their value because they have essentially become cheap and disposable and easily obtainable to the point where there's no real connection to them. That's where we have to be careful with things like Game Pass, because we will write off a lot of games or just won't bother with them because we've got no immediate
And if you, I feel like if you
spend
spend your hard-earned money on something, you've
Well,
kind
Donkey
of.
Kong isn't fair either.
You spend £60 on a game, you're gonna play that damn game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially because I know a lot of people tell me, "Oh, get PS Plus because you get a lot of free games." And when I'm like, "Well, it's not free. You just said get PS Plus." But also, the fact is that it's like, "Oh, well, I've been loving Detroit. It's on PS Plus for free." And then again, like I said, but that means you got to buy it. And it's like, well, I'm gonna get Detroit one day, and you're not, because you're gonna have one day you're not gonna have your PS Plus and you're not gonna have Detroit. But
Well,
when I'm 80, I'll still have Detroit. And it's like to me, it's like that's what I like, is to always have it. You always got it somewhere. And a
I
subscription
downloaded
service
those free
could take
games.
away.
I downloaded Journey and the Nathan Drake collection. I haven't booted either of them up yet. But if I had bought one of those games,
I did last night.
Did you?
Yeah, I played it for like the first segment and then I stopped.
Yeah, like I bought even
just to see what it looked like. I was like, oh, it looks a lot better, that's for sure.
even paying for the Last of Us remastered. I paid $10. I mean, I got probably I feel like I'm just about halfway. I just left. I got to that college in Colorado after leaving Joel's brother's compound, so I feel like I'm about maybe over halfway. And I just really slowed down. I mean, it's my second place, or technically my third. But I don't know if it was because I only paid 10 for it or because I've already played it. Probably more of the second. But then I don't know. I just always felt that way. Whereas if I went out and bought something myself, and I'm definitely more inclined to.
Well, yeah, because also like a lot of things on Again, how is Game Pass going to look in 20 years, man? We don't know. We don't even know if Game Pass will exist. And so it's like, to me, it's like all those games that you maybe are in the middle of, or so it doesn't exist anymore. You don't have them. You got to buy them now. And like, to me, it's like, that's the whole point, is just, to me, it's like, I'm just going to buy the games that I want, instead of overwhelming me with, here's 1,000 games. I'm like, okay, 1,000, that's crazy. But that's just a number to me. It's like, but I want to buy this game.
And I always,
it's on, it's on Game Pass. Oh, but I could own it for forever.
It's something I always say. If you really wanted to play something, you would have bought it before getting it free. And some of the Game Pass games are day and date, but I'm talking about some of these older games. Exactly. If you really wanted to play that game, you would have bought it 5 years ago. So if you download it now, you're probably not gonna put all your effort into getting through it.
Exactly. I hate paying for shit I'm not gonna use. I'm not using. Like I have Disney Plus, and it's like it's only $7 a month, but it's like I haven't used it in like a month. I used it today because it's May the 4th, and Rise of Skywalker is on there, and I watched it again, and the movie's actually better.
Oh, really?
The first time I saw it. So, but yeah, that is true. Like it's when you have it there, it's just like you don't get around to it.
That's
for me anyway.
But the last Star Wars film is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it came out today.
I better do the free trial.
That's because it's time for me to watch it.
I got another email.
Because it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you all, by the way.
Funny story is I watched a good chunk of The Force Awakens
holiday
this weekend. Not because I wanted to watch the movie. I'm trying to like dial in my subwoofer in my home theater system, and Force Awakens was always notorious for me for like having just like excessive bass, like and I had something set wrong, so I was like, all right, I turned that off, I readjusted it, and let me watch The Force Awakens again, see if it still has that issue, and maybe I fixed it. And I put it on. I jumped straight to Rey and Finn in the little market, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I probably watched a good half hour after that. Like,
it's a fun movie. It's
still like
very watchable.
I'm still kind of face palming when she gets in the Falcon, never flown before, and she's doing all these freaking maneuvers that are just ridiculous. But whatever.
Never even leaving the planet before.
Yeah. But and it kind of did. It's still, the bass was still a little overwhelming when they fired up old Starkiller bass. I thought I blew my subwoofer. It was just, for whatever reason, that movie just mixed really weird, where the bass is just overwhelming. But overall, I was like, man, this is better than I remember. But there is one moment, I'll get off this topic real quick, but where he where Han Solo talks about what Luke, why he left and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? That phrase, that sentence right there, basically set up exactly what Rian Johnson did, like perfectly. Everything they said, Han Solo said about Luke, matches up with what they did with him in Last Jedi. I mean, they said he lost hope and he just left, and I was like, oh, that's kind of who he was.
Yeah, and that was fine. I had no problem with them doing that. That part was fine. It's the fact that he was just, he could be upset and be sad and all that stuff. That was justifiable. But to shun the Jedi the way he
some
did
of that,
movie,
but
which is
anyway.
like too far. But we ain't gonna get into that.
And also want to kill his best friend's son, you know. So
yeah, that. But he already tried to do that. You know, they even set that up. They set that up in The Force Awakens. So.
Oh shit! Spoilers.
Well, not really. They didn't say exactly what happened.
They didn't say exactly what happened, but they said that that Kylo had turned bad, and I don't know if I can't remember exactly how he said it. Like if he tried to strike him down, if they said that or not. But
no,
okay,
nothing remotely to that extent. No.
Anyway, it is May the 4th, so I guess we had to bring up some Star Wars. So in Muhammad. He says Game Pass is a perfect service for expanding your horizons.
I mean,
I don't.
It's a great service.
It's a good rental service. I've always said that. I've never strayed away from it. It's a great rental service.
No. What he means to say is it's a good way of expanding your horizon if you're an Xbox only owner.
Yeah, because those Xbox guys, they see anything that non-realistic visuals, and they definitely ain't gonna buy it. But maybe they'll
that kitty shit.
Maybe they'll download it. Maybe they'll down that "Honey, I Shrunk the," you know what, that phrase.
Oh God!
They say on Next Gen's podcast.
Weren't they hating on that game? That game looks cool. Like
people are extremely hating on that shit. People are like, "What the fuck is this kid shit, bro?"
I need 12 teraflops for this kitty shit.
Microsoft trying to be Nintendo now with this kitty.
Can they not see that it's a They're trying to capture the Fortnite audience. I watched 2 seconds of it. I'm like, oh, it looks like Fortnite. Looks like they're trying to do the Fortnite thing. I mean, how is that not obvious? What, you don't have to like it, but if you can't see that's what they're doing with this game.
Microsoft's trying to expand their horizons away from you morons.
They're trying to get those billions of dollars Fortnite makes. I mean, it's like
that that with that Ori or the other stuff, like they're trying. They're trying to do the thing, but they got to make it exclusive if they want me to buy.
Because you bros ain't buying enough of games anyway.
Yeah, you don't buy fucking Gears or Halos.
You have to understand. You're talking about a generation of people whose first game was Halo 3 OST. All right, they ain't about this kitty shit. They
what? I haven't listened as much to the old multiplayer podcast, but I listened the last 2 times. I swear they start talking about Nintendo and hear the same stupid phrase. Man, first starts off with I grew up with Nintendo. Nintendo didn't grow up with me, and then the second part is, why can't they make a Zelda game? Why can't it be both? Why can't it be a great game and be for mature eyes? Why can't they use Unreal Engine 4? Like, dude, they could use Unreal Engine 4 and it would look identical because they could make that art style in Unreal Engine 4. Just look at Yoshi's Crafted World.
They think Unreal Engine 4 means realistic visuals. It says real in the
doesn't fucking Rhyme.
It's Unreal.
Rhyme uses Unreal Engine 4.
It does.
Snake Pass uses Unreal Engine 4.
Tons of games do.
It's just so stupid.
Cartoony games.
That tells me that he doesn't even know what he's trying to say. Like, just say you want a realistic looking visuals. I mean, I guess it's just that easy. But
because with
the have to bring up Nintendo in the conversation, they wouldn't. But if it comes up in the conversation, it's like, well, we got to say something. So they just had that little.
Well, they can't ignore it when it's spanking the Xbox. They can't ignore it.
Yeah,
it came out a couple years and it was already spanking the Xbox. It's been out for.
And Microsoft is also buddy with them, so they're like, oh
my god, they hate the fact that Nintendo ain't giving us no game. Mm-hmm. You don't want Nintendo games.
Dude, I don't get that shit at all, yo. I hear that. Why? And if you see these tweets, you're like, why is it a one-way street? Why doesn't Nintendo give us Mario Kart or something? Like, dude, how are you equating Ori to Mario Kart? It's like, and
Super
also,
Lucky's Tale mean actually getting Mario Kart.
Yeah, and also, it's like
here's the kicker. We have the better version of Super Lucky's Tale.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true.
Also, the whole thing is like, the whole thing is that it's not like Nintendo's asking Microsoft for it. Microsoft
Right.
just wants to put it on the damn platform.
They want to make money. That's what they do.
Yeah,
Because y'all won't buy
They're
Super
not-
Lucky's Tale, so they say, well, let's go to Nintendo fans because they'll buy this
Exactly.
shit.
Well,
That was literally all it was. It's like, you motherfuckers aren't buying it, so we're gonna give it to the people that will.
You ain't buying Ori. You ain't buying Lucky's Tale. You barely buying Cuphead. And it was like, well, we trying to expand, get some money from people who actually will play these games instead of sitting around complaining about them all
you
the
know
time.
what's crazy though?
It was one of those things where when you saw those games come out on Xbox and like in their little reel of games they had coming out, the first thing you probably thought was, damn, that should probably be on Nintendo.
That should probably be on Nintendo. Yeah.
Response.
What's a new game that just hit Game Pass? People are talking about.
I can go check real quick.
Brand
I
new.
think
It just
Streets
came
of
out.
Rage-
People are like just play it on Game
Streets of
Pass.
Rage went on
Streets of Rage.
Streets of
Yeah.
Rage 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
Streets of
Super
Rage
Lucky's
4.
Tale, Subliminal Alignment is right. I wouldn't say it's garbage. It's kind of generic.
Nah, dude, New Super Lucky Tale was fucking great. I really enjoyed it.
Not just it controls really well. I'm just saying
It does. That man said kind of garbage. Please tell me you
Lucky
played
Tale?
more than a level. Please tell me you played more than a level. Yo, that shit is fucking
What
fun
game?
as hell.
Lucky's
New
Tale.
Super Lucky Tale? Yeah.
Well, the
Lucky's Tale
demo.
was
I mean, the
good.
demo.
Super
Super
really-
Lucky's Tale, the Switch version.
The demo
It's
played
fun.
really well. I thought it played fine. I just didn't.
It's just
Dude,
kind of
It's short. It's short, but that's my only problem is that
Yeah.
it's very
The level
short.
design
Short,
wasn't
yeah.
It's a lot
amazing.
of fucking fun,
game
man.
that you can kind of like play through with your brain cut off.
No, but it's not. It's it's a fucking fun ass. The kind of dude, what are we
I'm
talking
not
about? We're
saying
not talking about Sonic Forces here. We're talking about fucking.
Yeah, it's
Sonic
way
Forces-
better than
Robert,
almost
Robert
three.
getting ready to cut your head off.
Sonic Forces, you know. Ooh.
Robert is
We ain't talking about a game that plays itself, Sonic.
Robert.
We're talking about fucking.
Kirby Star Allies.
Robert.
No,
Name
you
a
mean-
3D. Robert,
What happened?
name a 3D Sonic game that's better than Super Lucky's Tale that you played.
That's better.
Mhm.
Come on.
I
man.
mean, well, to be fair, I really like Lost World. I mean, so I would maybe I don't know. I probably I don't know if I like that one better than New Super Lucky. But I'm telling you, New Super Lucky Tale is genuinely fun. It's got variety. And it's got 2D sections. It's got 3D sections. Add cool little bosses.
I kind
I
of
only
wish.
played the demo, so I can't.
I wish I would have
play-
brought that up in our discussion about game length because that was one of the things that kind of bummed me out because I was like, oh man, they added some cool stuff and looks like was
and
it
then I
like
guess-
$40 or something? And it's like, oh, it's like 4 or 5 hour game. I was like,
$33 at
Well, and
Walmart.
also you said it isn't Mario, but nothing's Mario. The only Mario
yeah.
is Mario. It's like you can't get Mario with every single
Yeah.
fucking game.
You're right. It's like on the I was gonna say like on the N64, like Super Lucky Tale to me is like a Glover or
Yeah, I'm
something
sure,
like that.
yeah.
Like, but I like Glover a whole lot. Like,
Mhm.
I had a lot of fun with Glover. So
Those,
You know,
those
it's
games
just-
are
it's-
allowed, people. They're allowed to exist. There's no pain.
No, but I mean, look, you have your opinion, but kind of garbage is pretty harsh, yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of a basic platformer, but there's nothing wrong with being.
now, if you're talking about the first one,
I don't know. You
that
didn't
was
play, my guy. You can't say that. What?
if you're talking about the first one that was based off of
What's
the
a basic
the
platformer?
VR one.
I think it's SpongeBob. That's a basic platformer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, wait a minute. We can start getting Terrell again. You're talking about fucking.
oh,
This man's basic platform and hyping out.
how dare
SpongeBob.
you? Right.
That's two different tiers. I'm gonna tell you it right now.
You know what's crazy?
I'm gonna tell you 100%. You're wrong if you try to put those two in the same tier. That's all I'm gonna say.
What?
Lucky Cell.
Yeah, because Lucky's Tale looks way better.
And what? SpongeBob? Dude, Lucky's Tale is. I mean, I'm gonna play SpongeBob one day. I would be shocked.
No,
if
they
it's
don't-
better than Lucky's Tale. Like I'm just being straight up with you, dude. You're able to dig underground. You could do your little tail flip. It's not a basic platformer. It's got its moveset. It's got a variety of moves. It's got more moves than Sonic. So it's like the whole thing is.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
section looks really cool. It's 2D, kind of going through pipe section.
It's a cool game. I mean, I watched the a
I
lot of
like
E3 stuff from it.
It looked cool. I just don't-
They even have like the stages. If you like collect everything like by the end, and the last sections are tough as hell. They're challenging. They're pretty challenging.
I have heard the complaint of it being short. That was the only
It is
real
short.
complaint I've
No,
heard.
it is short. Yeah, that's my big
Basic
thing. Like, when it
platformer,
ended, when it
turn
ended
around
out,
like Sonic Heroes, man. Get the fuck out.
Dude, it's got a lot of charm, yo. The fucking ghost and the dialogue is so funny. while we're in dialogue, funny little dialogue moments. Get the fuck out of here. Shit's nice.
Do we have any more? Do we have any more topics? Because I have one.
Not really.
That's probably pretty.
Oh, I
quick.
forgot about the questions, but what did you want to bring up?
Oh, it's just the eShop closing in 100 countries. We didn't really talk about
For
that.
what 3DS or
For our Wii U and 3DS.
Yeah.
Yes.
I look at these
It's
visuals.
not the full. It's not the full eShop though, is
That's
it?
it's
Isn't it
depressing.
isn't it like some funky little shop or something?
I
No, it's the full eShop.
yeah, I was
They're-
watching a video and he said hack your Wii U now and get the games you have or that you digital, do what you can so you can download the games in the future if you need to.
Yeah, I plan on doing that.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I'm surprised it's taking this long. I'm surprised it didn't do it sooner.
Man, look at
Yeah,
this trash
there's a lot of games that I
gameplay.
gotta get on the eShop there, yo.
The SpongeBob just doesn't.
Well,
This look-
There you
It
go.
looks visually looks. I mean, it looks really nice visually.
I don't know, man. This
You're
looks
looking at
like,
the first level.
I'm
This
just-
is the
this
first.
looks
I was
like-
gonna
I'm
say
just looking
this is
at
really
his
early in the
jumping.
game.
The way,
this looks like something in Dreams.
yeah, the way the camera.
You can't look at his jumping. You have to play the game.
I
Like, I'm
know.
going off the GameCube.
I'm saying
version,
when
so
I was gonna say when you jump, the camera like really looks down. Like I guess maybe that's needed for certain areas.
I don't
but
know, man. This looks like a very basic
It does look
platform.
very basic.
Yeah. like I said, it's something other Dreams, man. I've seen better Sonic games than Dreams.
Oh.
Well, I mean, to be fair, fans have made better Sonic games. That's not even an argument.
Well, yeah, Sonic Mania,
I'm
yo.
not going to argue that.
Sonic
Don't-
Mania,
don't-
real.
Sonic Mania is proof of that shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue that, all right?
All right,
That was
let's check the
I know-
questions.
I'm just saying.
No, but it doesn't that depress you guys? 3DS and Wii U, because eventually it's going to be everywhere.
That's
not
what-
just.
yeah,
It's
that's-
super depressing, dude.
That's what I've been
Yeah.
realizing with all those digital purchases. That's why I'm done digital purchases on the Switch.
On Nintendo consoles.
Nintendo,
Period.
yeah. I mean, I'm looking at because I haven't been an Amazon Prime member. I did the trials over the years, but I finally just said, you know what, they got a lot of shows I like, so I got Amazon Prime, and for the video, I don't really care about the 2-day shipping, even though I've used it a few times. But I'm looking at my library, and there's shows I bought. Like I bought an episode where, let's say I was watching, and I'm back in the day before on demand, before I had access to it, because I didn't always have a cable box, and so I'd miss an episode. So I went and bought on Amazon. I'd go buy that episode and watch it, so I didn't miss out. And I got all my purchases from fucking some of them are 10 plus years old, are still there on my Amazon Prime. And I started Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. Anybody remember that with Kristen Ritter? It only made it like 6 episodes before they pulled the plug, so it was too raunchy for ABC. And I still have the first 2 episodes. The first one was free, and then I paid for the second episode. And I mean, shit, I had to look up what year that was, but everything's still there. Like every individual episode is still there. So that means that they have to have them somewhere on a server somewhere. And
Yeah, they're on the server. Yeah.
and I was just so blown away by that the other day that all those old ones were still there. And that's kind of how it should be, at some point maybe. It's not.
This one company just can't figure that shit out, man.
Yeah, that was 2012, so it was 8 years ago. And that was probably, I don't even know if that was the oldest one I had, but it's like I have no confidence that even the Switch purchases will be there, even if it's backwards compatible. I just don't think that's where they're heading.
They can put resources in the Wii U TV, but not that shit. Oh, where's the Wii U TV at? Oh, never mind.
We didn't even get Wii U TV. We had the icon, and that was
It wasn't that.
Yeah.
It
They
was lame.
teased y'all with that shit.
I was
Yep.
looking forward to I was seriously looking forward to using the gamepad as a remote. I wanted to try that shit, man. I'm still waiting.
retro.
You couldn't even do that.
Yeah, no, I use a remote as I still use
I
it
was gonna-
as a TV controller. The
I was
remote.
gonna say, I thought everybody could do that.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I just looked over and my cat is just staring at me, not
Like,
blinking, not moving, and she's been there for at least 5 minutes. I keep looking and she's just like dead staring, like, "Hey asshole, I'm home
You're
all
about to be-
day. I was home all day by myself. You come home, you make food, you don't give me any attention. Now you're sitting here talking to nobody."
These nerds.
I thought it was more like turn around.
Now her eyes are closing as she's
Getting ready to suck the breath out of your ass.
It's funny. I send retro funny videos every once in a while. But anyway, sorry. I was just chuckling because she's just not looking away. Her eyes are closing because she's getting tired. But now it looks like she's glaring because her eyes are half open. But anyway,
me now.
let's see about some of these. We don't have a lot of questions. Let's see what we got here. Question for the crew except Terrell. Who do you think posted that?
Damn you. Why?
What are your thoughts on the fighting
I think it's
game?
Robert.
Fighting game genre, and do you think you can be competitive in any fighting game of your preference?
Yes. I am officially the best Street Fighter Alpha 3 player in the world.
Until you went online.
I was like, no.
No.
I'm the best in the world. I know it.
I think the fighting game
I
genre
wasn't
is...
collected skills like that ass. I wasn't even throw hands in the fighting game, bro.
I used to be a beast at Soul Calibur, and then Terrell, I don't know if you ever played the series, you were whooping my ass at Soul Calibur 6 or whatever.
I played it. I think the last game I played was the GameCube. What was that?
Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I was by far the best out of my group with like Keelik. I was unbeatable, and Terrell was just whooping my ass. Like
The reason why y'all does accept Terrell is because recently Lightning gifted me fucking a bunch of Street Fighter games on PC, and I realized I ain't shit at Street Fighter.
What do you guys think on the genre itself?
When it comes to Soul Calibur and Keelik, though, I used to main him too, but technically he's a little bitch, though.
Yeah. I couldn't do shit with him now, but I think
so. Team, I'm the best in the world of Street Fighter.
Mostly dead fighters. I mean,
yeah, it's like I feel like.
So the question is like what you would play kind of pro.
What do you think you could be competitive in? Also, what your thoughts on the genre? And I'd say the thoughts on the genre are just that it feels like we go through these where we get like way too many games in 1 year, and then you go a couple years where you don't get them. I've always been of the feeling that a fighting game's best played as a co-op game, whether it's online or local co-op, and without that, I feel like that's where their weakness is. I feel like they really fall apart if you don't have somebody to play against. I think Smash is a perfect example. Anybody who hates Smash doesn't have anybody like a group of friends to play with, it seems. And so I think it's very reliant on a multiplayer aspect, but at the same time, it's only usually one-on-one, so it doesn't have that same appeal as like a 16-player deathmatch game. So I just feel like it's got, it's an up road battle, to try to stay relevant. But there's still good games coming out too. So
They're just a hard sell in the modern era, like because for a fighting game to stay relevant for most people, you got to have DLC or like a season pass. Almost every major fighting game nowadays, like Tekken, Street Fighter, Soul Calibur, even Smash and Dragon Ball Fighters, they all got to have some type of season pass.
Yeah, they don't hold people too long.
Yeah, and then the problem is people are like, well, fuck, I don't want to keep spending $20 or like $10 to $20 on 5 characters and like different costumes. I ain't even playing that game like that. Realistically, I think fighting games nowadays are more held up by like their competitive scenes and DLC. And
why?
Go ahead.
No, it's completely something different. Just finish. Go ahead, finish.
No, I'm finished. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, why is Control in your, I guess your description?
Oh, because we were talking about DLC. I thought maybe we'd talk about the DLC again, but
oh, okay.
I'll just quickly give my fighting game answer then, because like I said, I have 3 brothers and I've played fighting games my entire life on every system. I probably have a main in every single game. Like Soul Calibur, I was also preferred Talon because I don't know, she looked nice and the Tonfa shit was just really cool. But the game, I'm pretty sure I'm one of the best at, even with my brothers and shit, and that I love the most. Not even necessarily because of what it is, but just because how great the fighting works, and I hated that they stopped making them. And this is going to be the full title of the game. It's Naruto Shippuden Clash of Ninja Revolution 3 European version.
God dang.
I love the Clash of Ninja games. They're just so well thought out mechanically when it comes to the fighting system.
I need to know.
What?
Who's your main?
I mean Gaara and Hinata.
Okay, I fuck with. All right, we're good.
My brother, he mains Itachi, but The great
Oh.
thing about Revolution 3 is that even in Japan they didn't release it for some reason, and it has like a massive fucking roster. It added like a bunch of new characters and shit. I like the game has this really cool like disappearing, countering mechanic and shit. Like it is so active. You don't just like how you have those fighting games and people throw you in a corner, they spam you, and you can't do that in this game. You're like all over the place, and it's a nice 2D fucking realm. And then they started doing that bullshit. What do they call it? Ninja Run shit, whatever they call it. Where you're walking around on the field and shit.
About the Storm series.
Yeah, I hate that shit, man. They don't release the Clash of Ninja ones anymore.
The Storm series is just redundant. That's my problem with it. It's another one of those examples of, oh, the game's cool, it's nice, let's make 3 more versions of the same fucking game. That's my problem with. Granted, that's my problem with Bandai in general when it comes to anime games. But that's a whole nother issue. Ultimate Ninja, I haven't played that series in a while. That game's because people think it's the same as like the Battle Revolution, and it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a different feel. I appreciated those old school games. It's kind of like the Budokai games, Dragon Ball Z Budokai. I fuck for that shit heavy. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Virtual Fighter 2.
My answer.
Oh, Virtual.
That Virtual Fighter 2, can't nobody fucks with me in that. But that was the last time I tried to master a fighting game, and I still think I'm untouchable in that. But
I would say at peak best like at a fighting game probably was not Super Street, but Street Fighter 2 Turbo, just because I played it and I actually owned it and played it a shit ton. I was pretty good with Ryu. But I would say honestly, and Lightning's probably gonna laugh, but I think Smash is probably the best I've ever been at a fighting game. Like as far as one with, I feel like that has more depth than even Street Fighter has depth. But I feel like I'm not amazing at Smash, but it's probably the best I've.
It's like for me,
I was just gonna say, and the super underrated Fighter's Destiny on N64. You can't fuck with me on that either.
Stop talking, man.
Hey, what the hell?
I mean,
let's go.
I've played fighting games, all my life, and I've always loved them. I've like even now, like on the PS4, I've got Guilty Gear and stuff. And I just, I grew up playing, like a lot of people, Street Fighter. I always played other stuff like World Heroes, which was fucking great. And I've played, all the older fighting games. My peak fighting game, was definitely Alpha 3, and we're probably going up to about 2005, maybe 2008, where I was really, really hot on it. But I still played fighting games. I always preferred 2D ones. But the 3D ones, I mean, my favorites, I always, love Virtual Fighter. Virtual Fighter 2, teacher's wrong. I'd kick his ass, as my Shun or
that's your dream.
Or Akira,
We gotta find a way to make this happen. I'm gonna bring my Saturn when we meet up.
So, yeah.
We'll see what's up.
We're gonna throw them hands, boy.
I mean, I find fighting games a lot of people say they're not diverse, but I think they're some of the most diverse franchises, the diverse genres that we've had, more so than racing games, more so than sports games, and all this stuff, because we can get stuff like Power Stone, which is just fucking incredible. We can get stuff like Soul Calibur, which is like 2D, 3D, and then we can have the pure sprite-based stuff of Street Fighter. You can have the craziness of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. There's just I just feel like fighting games go beyond and almost go into mech type games as well. It's like, or like even flying type games. We play like Virtual On and Psychic Force and all these types of games. They just I think as a genre is I don't think it's ever died. I think it had a resurgence when Street Fighter 4 came out. Absolutely. Because I think it did go a bit quiet, and after the demise of the Dreamcast, and we had like Soul Calibur stuff, but even people dropped off like Tekken. People dropped off Tekken, during the PS2 era and stuff. Even if people do mention Tekken Tag and Tekken 4, people dropped off, especially after Tekken 3 and stuff. But I love the genre, and I still play fighting games, today.
And Smash isn't a fighting game, by the way. I was mistaken.
Oh. Not doing that.
It's a celebration,
It's a celebration game. It's not a real fighting.
Only other thing is fucking what cooking mama maybe to celebrate.
Celebration game.
What do you do in the game? Do you cook, like you said? Do you bake cakes?
No, I
Do
cook.
I think you party, you celebrate.
I don't know. I don't know what offends people so much
You fight.
by calling Smash a fighting game, because it's what else do you do?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand.
Home run. I was just gonna say that.
Well, what else do you do? But you say a home run. That's like
It's a party
you
game.
pick up the arguments of like little mini games and stuff, which are in tons of other fighting games. It's just people. It's like I don't know. People are crazy.
Anyway.
No strategy involved.
No,
No.
there's no
It's like
skill.
saying Street.
No skill.
It's like saying Street Fighter is a GTA game because there's a car in one of the mini games.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, man,
It's
you
a
fuck-
card demolition game.
Yeah, man. That shit ain't no fighter.
It's a wine drinking game because you kick barrels in the basement.
It's a Gwent.
So let's get to this. We'll do one more question here. This from Trilink. Do you think that Bayonetta 3 will get released this year? If so, when do you think we'll finally see gameplay trailer for it? So,
Shit, we're not getting nothing this year.
you know what I was thinking earlier when we were.
That was so sad.
He was so bummed out about it too.
Like, man,
What?
he was
I
like,
mean,
he was like trollish about it. You ain't get nothing, bitch.
one of the examples I was gonna make, I think I said I brought up the Metroid Prime 4 delay, but like this would be one of the realm. I'm not saying it is, but I'm starting to get a little worried about this game, to the point where if a rumor came out that Bayonetta 3 was scrapped, I would probably believe it at this point, or I'd at least think it's possible. And that's the type of thing I was saying earlier about a rumor or leak or speculation where I wouldn't have any problem saying it, because bad news can never be spoiled for you. If they cancel Bayonetta 3, I don't care. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be spoiled for you if somebody leaks it a day in advance before Nintendo officially said it. To me, bad news is bad news. It doesn't matter where it comes from. But I'm kind of a little worried about that. I definitely don't think we'll see Bayonetta 3 this year, though.
I mean, we need to think logically
now.
about what Bayonetta 3 is, and the chances of it being cancelled in my mind are just almost none. For me.
Canceled?
They recently talked about it. I want to say like earlier this year.
I
Saying
don't
that-
think it was this
There's
year.
literally no reason why this game would be cancelled. I can't think of a single reason why they would want to cancel it.
Yeah, I don't see it being canceled.
I'm
We're
just
talking
saying.
Nintendo here, not Xbox.
I'm just
If
a
you give me a
little.
reason,
I'm a little concerned about its future.
Ouch.
Well, first the director left Platinum, so I don't know who took over. If maybe there was a stall in the development while they figured out who was going to take over, or if it was a seamless transaction.
Kojima left Konami. We still got another Metal Gear.
Yeah, that game was finished before he left.
Well, he's got his own sound now. Huh?
Plus, it's been
Whoa.
2.5 years
was in,
since they teased it. I mean,
What
I'm just
happened?
saying, if somebody was like, "Hey, it's not looking good, Bayonetta 3, they're having issues," they just decided to put it on the back burner or whatever. I would kind of believe that if that was if the word
And
started happening.
Retro Studios is closing, so
Yeah. But anyway, I maybe we'll see gameplay for it this year, but I'm not.
We might see it. I don't know if we're gonna get it this year.
you ain't getting shit like Clark just said.
Nah, Kamiya wasn't. They didn't announce.
It is no 2020 right now, man.
It sound like abused children. Relax.
Kamiya did not. They didn't announce him taking over as director. They didn't say.
Too busy with Kickstarters and boosting up old games and shit.
Yeah. They're too
They
busy
put out a
trying
new
to
game.
hopefully not extend past their reach and find out what publishing's all about. I'm sure
That's what
it's-
I'm worried about. That's what I'm
I'm-
worried about with
all
Platinum.
it takes is one flop and
You're done.
You're fucked. But
So that-
I done a video on Platinum before where
Man, that's like a three-party venture anyway. Like it's fucking.
Sega.
yeah, Sega and Nintendo, but yeah,
I just meant them as a company as a whole. When you have that responsibility all on yourself, because it's not like their games do like gangbusters to begin with.
Mhm.
Oh, they
now-
now enough, and that's about it.
Now, if you're gonna go out there and publish your own stuff, it's really on you. You really got to start making some hits.
Mhm.
You know, we all know
That's
you
what-
make great
that's
games,
where
but you
I'm
got to make
worried.
hits.
That's what I'm worried
Yeah,
because
the
I,
problem
I,
is that their shit's so niche that it's like sometimes, even if it's a good game, it needs to have like mass market appeal, and that's what ends up hurting it more than anything else. Not that it's a bad game; it's just that the majority of people don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
No, I disagree with that niche thing.
I say it's niche because the sales.
These guys they make games about superheroes. They make games about
Could just be not marketed a lot. You know, what I mean?
They got niche sales, that's for sure.
I
That's
know,
what I mean.
and that's gamers. That's just stupid ass gamers.
Well, I mean, not
Yeah,
every.
they still got to appeal to those stupid ass gamers.
I say the,
You can be mad at them, but you know,
They got
they
the
wallets
money
up.
in their hand, and they need it.
I say those games that are made to be replayed and get the high score, kind of that throwback to arcade
That
games.
Sega shit.
I think that's a little niche, but the interesting thing here is they took Wonderful 101. This looks like it's in chronological order, maybe. I don't know what kind
Yeah,
of.
it's probably because Wonderful 101 was about to get re-released.
Maybe not. I don't know, because Devastation's behind Bayonetta, but they put Wonderful 101 remastered at the top. It's like, you guys made that game like 7 years ago. Like, it should be
Yeah, I
down
think-
here.
Going by the newer.
Well,
they're
because
going
it's the remastered. You know?
Yeah,
I get it.
That was the Wii game.
But yeah, you're right. It was February of this year that he said. The shirt fans that Platinum Bayonetta 3 for Nintendo Switch is progressing smoothly despite the lack of updates over the past few years.
It's weird because like when you look at that list of games you just had up for them, the two like most successful games from them recently was either Astral Chain and fucking Nier. Those are like the two most recent successes, and even then, those were only like over 1 million.
Yeah, but
they didn't.
I mean, but a mill is still a mill.
Set the world on
I
fire.
mean, that was cool, but I'm saying, but like, it wasn't like Nier set the world on fire, but that's just because Nier is a weird ass fucking game. But Astral Chain was a fucking first party exclusive.
Yeah, and it's going on one platform. I you know, maybe that means they're just going up from here. You know,
I mean that's perfectly reasonable.
I hope that's the case.
That's reasonable because realistically, it could just be a situation that their name isn't known as much outside of the gaming.
and maybe with Babylon Fall, all these other ones, they're gonna just slowly get bigger and bigger.
We need to see footage. That's my thing with that game.
Isn't Babylon's Fall
I think it's another one. Yeah, I think it's
Square published.
It's another Square fucking owns it, but like Platinum is developing it, which is the same thing with Nier, I think.
So they don't need it to sell that great. It don't matter.
Yeah, because Square's back in that. So
I almost wish it had this.
They did have a new IP they mentioned.
But maybe if Square sells the game, like put some marketing behind it.
But I think Platinum wants to get on their own 2 feet because I could have swore they announced a couple of new IPs that they're the one working on.
I haven't looked at this trailer in a while, and I'm trying to.
It wasn't to me. It wasn't.
Were you guys giving me shit about saying it had like an amazing art style, and you guys were saying it was? I can't remember.
No, I said it does look good.
I mean, it's
looks bland. That's my
fucking
problem.
gorgeous. I think it was Terrell said it looked bland.
Well, I mean, you could tell the Astral Chain
Because it looks kind of.
I probably said it too because I wasn't too.
Yeah,
it's got like a
saw in
cell
that
shaded
trailer.
look. You got these
looks
bright
too
colored
traditional.
flowers. You got this hazy you see these giant shapes of buildings.
I thought Nier was bland too, so that's just.
Yeah, I think Nier looks bland as hell.
Nier, I think
way
Nier-
more colorful, and I think this looks absolutely stunning. Actually,
attack effects.
It looks so much fun, that shit, and it looks really good, dude.
The way I look at it is like when I know Platinum for making like these cool ass characters and these like engaging ass
He's
worlds.
toggling a guy in the sky. That's
Yeah, like it's not like the character looks basic as fuck. Like, oh, the animations look really good, but like, I don't know, man.
combat looks.
It look like some some knockoff Dark Side of shit.
Yeah, like I've seen.
It was
The
like
problem
the
is
name.
that I've seen better from Platinum. That's my problem.
Honestly, I think this is their best visual style.
Oh, get the fuck out of
Ah,
here!
you
get the
tripping.
fuck
Yeah,
out of here,
you're
you're
fucking
crazy.
fine.
You strip. Now we are gonna get on your head. What the
Yeah.
hell?
I mean,
What
just-
about Bayonetta 2 though?
Bayonetta 2 crushes this visual.
Yeah.
Nah.
That's not even a
I was just
comparison.
playing Bayonetta 2. I mean, it's. I
Oh,
mean,
don't go chewing on Bayonetta 2.
I
now.
say it looks good, but I
What's
think
the time?
this looks
What's
like
the
way
time?
more.
Oh,
This
shit.
has
That's
way
like-
more character.
There's
That's
4
like-
minutes. There's 4 minutes of this podcast left. I don't want it to turn.
That's
into
like
a-
defensive.
into Mario 64 Bayonetta
I mean,
2 shit
I just
again.
Defensive
fucking-
playbook number
let's-
one.
let's-
Let me shit on the previous thing to prop up the new thing. That's like the.
I'm just
that's
saying
like
I don't usually say, oh, Platinum, man, they're really
Man,
good.
you
with
were
art
jizzing in
direction.
your socks over Bayonetta. I want to hear that shit.
Get out of shit.
Yeah, I remember you for being
It
at
doesn't
2,
mean
you
that
were
it can't
doing-
something. They can't make something to
Yeah.
to exceed
Okay,
it.
you're not right. You're not wrong, but this ain't it.
Yeah,
I think so.
Terminator Juice, more like Terminator Gin and Juice. You gone crazy.
Terminator gin and juice. I'm done. That's it.
And you personally didn't love Astral Chain's visuals.
No, I didn't
you,
care for
and
Astral
you're
Chain.
definitely
I thought
rolling
it
down the
was
street
great.
smoking.
I thought that shit looked great, dude.
It's not the visuals. I didn't really care for the style of the world.
What? But
I
this
don't know
is
what to tell you. I think that game looks bland.
This is it, though. That's
Oh
what keeps
man.
Bland. Oh,
Astral Chain Bland is something that like everyone does that. And you don't see all the time Astral Chain.
what I'm
looking-
saying.
There's
Oh,
a couple areas that look fine.
What's up?
I,
Disqualified.
the
Yeah,
astral
you-
plane, boring as hell. The police headquarters is bland as hell.
Oh.
That medical facility you go to that you have to walk through that's
Oh,
bland as
shit.
hell.
I thought Retro was the one with the shitty opinion.
Yeah, Bayonetta 2. I mean, Bayonetta 2 destroys Astral Chain. I'd say Bayonetta was the number one until what I've seen so far. Babylon.
What?
I just
think
like
Babylon
that
5 is
style,
better
but
than
it's
this?
more fantasy style. I just really like that. I really like that fantasy world kind of
Fantasy.
What?
Oh!
Oh.
That gothic architecture in the background, like
Gothic architecture. Have you played Bayonetta 2?
Yeah, what the fuck?
I'm talking about Babylon.
No, he's not a bad one.
I know what he's talking about. I'm saying he's saying Babylon looks better than Bayonetta 2. And I'm like, what are you
It's
talking
not.
about?
I'm just saying I prefer.
Well, I think a really
that look.
nice Gothic architecture is fucking Bloodborne.
I swear
That
I'm gonna say
looks
Lucky
great.
still.
Yeah, Bloodborne
I
looks
just
Bloodborne.
great.
find find that strange for from a person you just
And I
watched
think
the trailer.
Bloodborne looks a lot
but
better
you
than
watched-
Babylon, though.
Yeah, about to say.
Bayonetta 2. You just watching the trailer, son. But
Yeah,
you already
it
know
might
the-
not get. It might be like I'm trying to think of the game where the promise. That 2D platform just came out. Ukulele. The initial levels look beautiful. I'm like, oh man, I love the direction. But then by the end of the game, they didn't really do anything other than that one style and lots of similar looking levels, and then it started to wear on me. You know, if Babylon gets to that point where everything looked the same, then yeah, it's
Got to
gonna
that point
fall.
when I saw the trailer. The
But
fuck?
if you get to, I'm just kind of imagining other areas that are gonna blow my mind. That I'm hoping, like I said, at that 4-minute trailer, I like what I'm seeing. I like that style that they're using.
Okay, I'm just gonna
It might not turn out, but in the end,
just be prepared when I cut this section out and make a video on you.
go ahead. I thought Bayonetta was a technically impressive game, and I didn't think it was Bayonetta 1, I would say, is a pretty bland, ugly looking game.
Well,
Well, that
Bayonetta
game's
2
more
was
than
a
two
huge improvement over that, a great looking game, but like I said, when I see that fantasy style world, I'm a sucker for that shit. Just like Retro Death and his atmosphere, that's
what did you think
That's what I'm
of
saying, you're saying
Bloodborne, then?
fantasy
What did you think
style
of
world.
I think
art style?
Bloodborne looks fantastic. If it wasn't,
I'm
Okay,
saying fantasy style
alright.
world, like Bayonetta 2 ain't fantasy style world.
I'm
That's
talking
why
like
confused.
I'm
That's why
talking about Lord of the Rings type fantasy, not
But it's
unbelievable
interesting visually.
witches and I'm just meaning like that type of world, like a medieval kind of feel.
I just see two characters in a bland ass world
yeah,
doing some Devil May Cry knockoff shit. That's what
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm not
Juice,
talking about the
Juice,
gameplay.
all I see.
Like, first of all, because I was one of the first when that trailer released. I was like, God damn, I want to play that. It looks incredible. It looks fun and shit. And because Steve said it too early, you know what? You should play Darksiders 2.
Yeah, play Darksiders 2.
Oh shit! Oh, listen, I'm not even saying the game's gonna be bad. I'm just saying visually when I look at that game,
It could end up being a phenomenal game. I'm just saying
I
from
still
what I'm
think it
seeing
looks
in the
good
trailer.
visually, but I don't think as good as.
I'm
I don't
talking
think
about
it's as unique.
artistically.
I don't think it's unique as Astral Chain.
I'm just talking artistically. I don't mean the visual fidelity. I mean, like,
it's basic.
Yeah.
That's
to
my
me,
thing.
to me,
It visually doesn't look that like the coolest thing are the battle effects, not the fucking backgrounds in the.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Like,
saying it's
cool.
like looking all fucking like a lot of shit going on. It can be simplistic and still look visually appealing.
Yeah, Zelda does that. Breath of the
Yeah,
Wild.
good
I
2-on-2.
mean that's a good point. It does kind of remind me in one area of Breath of
It
the
looks
Wild.
like a good 2-on-2 fighting game right now.
Yeah, I'm not judging the game itself. I'm just talking about.
Or one-on-one.
like the art style.
Unless you play Breath of the Wild or Seamew and the other one looks bland as hell, Mel.
There is a shot where it does. Maybe that's what it's reminding me. of.
Damn,
Damn.
Clocked it on his shit tonight. Yo.
I know, right?
I just I have a
I'm
feeling
2
if,
I'm 2 a.m. drunk now.
if the beginning of this logo was a snap of the finger with a red screen, I feel like you guys would be praising it like I am. Oh!
What? Like a what? I don't even know what that means.
If it had a Switch logo in the beginning,
Switch.
if it
Oh,
was an
come on.
exclusive, if it was an
You-
exclusive,
You're really gonna go there?
Oh,
Really?
man.
I kind of feel like
Really?
it.
Who you
Oh,
talking?
Really?
man. I think I'm dreaming right now. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. I think I'm falling asleep. I'm hearing craziness, man.
I think I just shared a whole series of games on Twitter that are barely on a Nintendo platform, and I love them to death. Being the Legacy of Kain. Come on now, let's come on.
Yeah, that's like
Again, I-
Do you know what we need
That's
to do?
that's weak.
We
That
need to
was
do
weak
with
right
Juice
there,
now.
man.
We need to
that
do what
was
Kane
weak,
said.
bro.
Cast him in, and then just fall into the abyss.
Seriously, that. Come on now, that's weak. You
I
do
think it's
better.
as
You
weak
do
as-
better than that.
I think it's as weak as every argument you guys made.
Well,
I don't know how else to say it. I like
No,
the
no.
style.
You want to know? You know the best argument? Take a picture of Babylon's Falls and take a picture of Bayonetta 2, put them next to each other, and put it on Twitter and see who thinks. See,
I don't care what other people's. I'm giving you my.
But
No,
not
but
opinion.
the point I'm making is you sit there acting like visually
Yeah.
the art style is better in Babylon.
Yeah,
It's-
for my.
Hey,
Hold
my-
on, the cop out argument that if it was on Switch,
that's probably
really?
the worst argument you've made.
really, come on, you better.
That
not.
is a pretty bad
I
argument.
can't help but feel it would make some difference.
What?
I can't help it.
It wouldn't even look this good. That's the other thing. It would look worse.
It would
Seriously.
look like shit.
It would look worse than it does now.
This is a weird ass conversation.
I'm just saying, like,
Man.
Hey, you got. I mean, it's just giving you my opinion. I think it's one of
I
the more
expect that from an
interesting looking
Xbox.
visual art
no,
styles
you
that they've
get
gone
some
with.
onions. That's what
I
you
expect
get.
that from a Pony or Xbox.
That was
Maybe
that.
I don't
I-
expect
I
to
must-
hear that from fellow Nintendo
That's
fans.
because
or
I've
Nintendo
listened
podcasts.
to too many
So,
Xbox
so
podcasts.
Majora's Mask is a good Zelda, right?
Oh shit!
But if it didn't have the Nintendo logo before it started, I wouldn't like it.
I definitely want to play it. I want to play Majora's Mask if it wasn't a Zelda game.
Oh man!
If it was Dark Cloud Majora's Mask, I wouldn't have played that shit.
If it was a Final Fantasy game, I wouldn't have played it.
Oh man, you remember having to drink the water when you went? Oh, back in man, in that game you had to drink water.
Dark Cloud?
Pass out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Remember the Zelda killer? Remember that magazine cover? Zelda killer?
remember the Breath of the Wild killer that was coming to Switch with the dog and the boy.
Did they call it a Breath of the Wild killer? Oh my god.
Where is
Now
that
there-
game, yo?
There were
Still
people
playing?
saying that
There were some people that were
some
like,
people
oh,
thought
better.
that art style looked better than Breath of the Wild, and I disagreed. But they have their own opinion.
And they were wrong.
Hey, we're not saying you can't have your own opinion, yo. 'cause
But
we're
we
just
also have the right to
trying
say
to
it's
yo.
wrong.
We have an opinion as well. That's all we're
Yeah.
saying.
Our opinion is that your opinion is wrong.
I got tears.
I just think,
about
I
it.
just think Astral Chain reminds me. You talk about you love fantasy. Well, I love sci-fi, and Astral Chain is all about that sci-fi goodness, yo, with that Blade Runner s type. Come on.
Medieval.
Like,
I
I guess-
have you,
I guess
Go
my
ahead.
issue is that the argument that this is like Platinum's best like art style.
I know,
wise-
not their best. I said they're most interesting and appealing to me. It's not their. I wouldn't say it's their best, just general statement.
Okay, so you would just say it's the most interesting. And
fantasy, Lord of the Rings stuff. Oh, you mean like Skyrim, Elder Scrolls? Oh,
100 times better than Skyrim.
Oh, have you played?
100 though, nah.
Not
come
better
on.
than when Skyrim first came out, but now
But even now, 100. That's
I
a
see.
lot.
I
That's
see.
fine.
I see footage of Skyrim. I've seen probably at least an hour's worth of Skyrim footage over the years, just watching
Yeah,
let people play
I'm
the
sure.
Switch version.
But like 100 though.
And
so
I'm
that's
never
a
like,
lot.
oh my god, I love how that game looked. I've always thought it looked.
And you saw a 2-minute
unappealing.
trailer. At that.
No, I've watched.
Best
Like I
game
said,
ever.
I've watched people play the game. I've seen all kinds of videos on it. People
about,
play it while they're talking. Now I will say, Astral Chain's opening sequence was definitely amazing. I wish it
That trash.
didn't hold up. I didn't feel the rest of the game held up. Not saying there aren't areas that are absolutely gorgeous in that game. I'm talking about my overall opinion on their style they went with. Didn't love it.
Even though we didn't do the DLC talk, I just want to throw out there, Frozen Wilds is pretty damn good for DLC. If you haven't,
And that's
Oh,
for
my friends really enjoyed that. They said it was good.
for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought about
it's
downloading that. I saw some gameplay. I was like, man, it almost looks like they made some changes to
It is proper DLC. Like it adds a nice story chunk. I already beat it. Well, technically, I still have one creature to beat, but it is pretty damn good.
And I saw that video post about. I was hoping to hear your thoughts because I'm wondering if you were. First, I thought, are you being sarcastic and you're going to play some ridiculous video of people talking and bad dialogue and stuff? But it's like maybe because you never said anything to us about you were coming around on the game.
Yeah, well, I'm 90 hours in now, so
God damn.
like
Yeah, when I was listening to your last tea talk, I was like, whoa, how many hours? Fucking hell.
yeah.
Good effort.
I think I had about 30.
Shit, I don't know. I might.
When I get to it, I'm gonna see how. I feel
What
about it.
really killed it for me was just some of the side quests I attempted. I mean, it's not like there's a lot you can do with the game, but it's okay. Got to go to this. There's a corrupted. What do they call them? The
Corrupted. I don't even remember. I'm playing the game right now.
yeah. I don't know if they had a general term for the robot animals.
It's called corrupted areas, but they're just called the corrupted.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you got in this area. So you go to the area and you sneak around, then you kill them, and then you go back to the person. I mean, there was a couple.
They get harder and harder, and
there was one with the T-Rex one that I'm stuck on.
the Thunderjaw, yeah, like that.
And it's corrupted.
That's nothing. The Thunderjaw is a fucking stroll in a park compared to the Fire Claw and the DLC. Goodness gracious! And you got to beat 5 of them motherfuckers, 2 at a time at one pro, and it's insane.
Did you must have got more involved with the upgrading your equipment and stuff.
I'm like 60 now. Like I'm a god. I'm walking around like a god right now. But
I tinkered with some of the upgrading and adding abilities to the gear, but I never really fully looked into it.
The similarities to Breath of the Wild in this game is kind of like crazy. Obviously, the game came out. It came out too soon. It came out before Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like copying it, but it feels like it some way. It even has ancient armor. Like it's called ancient armor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's the best armor you can get in the game, and it's like
Does it show her midriff?
No,
Oh, that's trash.
the only downside. Not so show her midriff, but it is. It's very cool.
Well, I didn't absolutely hate the game. I feel it was ridiculous. People who said once you play that, then Breath of the Wild. If you played Breath of the Wild after Horizon, then there's no way Breath of the Wild could compete.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that.
Wait, like that's the complete opposite. Like, because I wanted to play Horizon and I did it. I played some Breath of the Wild first, then I went to my brothers to try Horizons, and I couldn't fucking seriously. Like when you play Breath of the Wild first, I just couldn't play Horizon. Like a little rock that doesn't reach your knees, you can't even walk on it and shit. It's just and it's so much of that. And then you look at the grass, all of a sudden it's like, oh, nice visuals, nice cardboard fucking grass.
Well, they changed it. They added it so the grass moves to you, reacts to you now.
That's the thing about this game. Like that's what took me so long to get in, is that I didn't want to play it the way it was supposed to be played. Like, because they give you tons of like different weapons, and you have to like trap, again, what do they call them? Basically, they just call them machines. You have to trap the machine, and you can't play the game without like starting to use those weapons and do that stuff, or you will get handed to. I tried to hack and slash my way through a lot of it, and nah.
Well, you can beat the humans pretty easily once you get high level with just the melee attack, but
yeah, but even then they start to gang up on you. And, you know, you're fighting like 30 humans in one camp, and that's just you can't run around hack and slashing them either. You got to be smarter.
and this was the best area in the game that looks like this DLC starts at.
Oh, it's really good. I got really surprised. I couldn't stop playing it. And that's the ancient armor she's wearing right there. It glows.
Spoilers.
But, you know, what it does.
Oh,
it
yeah,
just,
that's cool. I like the effect.
so like you get hit and it regenerates after a while if you don't keep
Her
getting hit.
face looks different though. Looks like she gotta change her character model or something.
It might have did a facelift. It might have did some.
They did
upgrades.
that with Lara Croft in the definitive version of the first Tomb Raider reboot. They changed her face.
Well, they added DX11, didn't they? So you could do like all the hair
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
DX10. So, yeah.
Down the walkers with like one arrow shot. That's how OP I am right now.
Does she have the armor on in the cutscene? Does it?
Yeah, it stays in the cutscene too. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about it after. It was probably earlier this year. I was like, maybe the DLC looks pretty good, but I know.
I bought the.
Next week we can talk about DLC more.
I bought the
Gets pushed back again.
what is it? Complete edition, and it comes with it.
Mm.
Yeah, it was like $17 for the whole
A
game.
lot of
And,
damn cutscenes.
Yeah, dude, you're just hitting around and there's all kinds of.
it's
I
not
will say I did like the transition between snowy areas and regular areas wasn't so abrupt versus like Breath of the Wild. That was probably one of the minor complaints I'd even have to levy about Breath of the Wild. Is like you just walk into a green area, all of a sudden there's a line and there's snow. And I liked how this game was more of a gradual change. Small
Yeah, I mean,
little detail, but still.
I
If you like that, you
very
should play
little
Days Gone.
surprise.
Yeah, you told me about that. But anyway, we better wrap this up. Maybe we'll hit the DLC topic next week.
keep pushing that shit.
Eventually.
Like,
All right, but thanks everybody for tuning in, and another good podcast. Interesting moment there towards the end. Hopefully we entertain you guys, and hopefully you guys can get back to work, or if you get back to your normal lives someday in the future. And but until then, everybody stay safe, and we'll see you next week.